fucking Carrie Annie.
Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome, and happy Sunday. It's your boy, Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show where we basically get into all things going on in celebrity news, hot topics, whatever's trending in these good old internet streets. Excuse me. We chat about it on this good old show. So, before we get started, can you please do me a solid and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and also smash that notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode. Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'm trying to move all this stuff and adjust. But we here. Okay, so we got some tea to spill. We got to talk about Chucky getting canceled. We got to talk about that Ballerina trailer. We got to talk about this new Diddy news, and Young Miami's been dragged in the situation. Plus 50 more people come out and talk about they've been assaulted by him, including minors, men, and women. We even had drug dealers was so freaked out by them freak-offs. They was like, they had to get the hell up out of there. So we're going to chat about that. Plus, we got to talk about Bussy MadAzz tie behind, continually keeping his daughter's name in his mouth and spewing homophobia. And now his daughter's tired of his mess. I'm just putting her daddy on blast. So that's two of the kids that's going in on Bussy, because there's another daughter of his that pretty much said that she wished he was on death row. Like, she was going in. So we'll talk about that and give my overall opinion. Plus, there is a book coming out about Linkin Park and Chester Bennington and his whole unaliving and everything. I have an excerpt from the book, so I'm going to read it. And plus, it's going to give further detail into like those final days before he took his own life and how Chris Cornell's death pretty much affected Chester Bennington because they were close friends. So, and it's funny how like they both went out the same year, the same way by, hanging. So we'll talk about that. Plus, we got Moti on this Perry Farrell, Dave Navarro drama, because apparently somebody who worked on the show, one of the guitar techs, is spilling tea. So we got to talk about that. Plus, Ryan Murphy. I told you I was going to talk about bring this up the other day, so we're going to do it on today's show. He said he has no interest in meeting the Menendez brothers and said that this monster series is the best thing to happen to them in 30 years. The arrogance of this queen. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, speaking of queens, we're going to talk about Cooper Koch, who plays Eric Menendez in the series. And he's basically responding to all the homoerotic incest controversy that's been going on with the series. Plus, we got to talk about Azealia Banks discrediting Madonna. So we talked about it the other day with Madonna and Katy Perry, and I gave my overall opinions on it. I'm going to go a little further in than what I had stated before, because Azealia Banks felt the need to assert herself in the conversation when she be trying to figure out how the hell she can conjure a hit for herself, because she is a no-hit wonder. Let's be clear. So we got to talk about that and people's overall opinions. The internet chimed in. There was people on my timeline that chimed in. I chimed in, of course, just to get people's opinions, and people was trying it, but I had to come with the receipts. So we're going to talk about and unpack Madonna's impact on pop culture and the way female pop stars today basically have taken Madonna's blueprint in regards of how female pop stars are loved, adored, how they tour, all that stuff. So we're going to unpack all that. Speaking of which, we're going to have to talk about Chappell ruin, because she ruined her damn career. That's why I'm going to start calling her Chappell Moan. She got Chappell ruin, because Miss Thing just love, every time she opens her mouth, she finds a way to sabotage her career. She is literally the poster child for self-sabotage at this point. So she's talking about, because she was supposed to do a festival, she is stepping back and dropping out again from another festival because she's being overwhelmed with being bullied online because people don't like what she had to say about she's not coming out publicly endorsing Kamala Harris. So we're going to get into that. Plus, the Bachelor alum Colton Underwood has an idea that he revealed in a podcast that he recently did for a gay version of The Bachelor. And when I was reading it, I was like, you know what? I actually like that idea. So we're going to unpack it and talk about it a whole lot more. Plus, if anything else is trending on social media and all that good stuff, y'all know to just throw it in the comments. So anyway, let me hit my banner before we get to the show. And I see I got a comment. Ooh, look. What scare? What happened? He said, thank you for the scare. What, you thought I wasn't coming up? Yeah, first of all, it was so much drama going on before I came live with a whole new situation that was going on. So yeah, I was a few minutes late. So I had to light some incense, and now we good. But but yeah, it was like I had to do a show today. First of all, Sabrina Carpenter's concert is tonight at Mass. I'm so glad I'm not doing that show. I'm like, but she ain't that popular enough for me to want to do her show. Now Charlie XCX was that girl, and Conan Gray is tomorrow. But today, I was like, y'all can work that show. And I seen they were sending out vortexes. Basically, vortexes like if they want people to work the show when they thought that they've scheduled and they want to add more people, and you can basically go on and be like, oh yeah, I want the shift. I wasn't doing that because I already know what Sabrina gives. Nothing. I don't even like her new album, but I heard it went platinum. But anyway, so let's get right into the show and let's talk about Chucky. Now, I want to say this. Who the hell was surprised to hear that after 3 seasons, they finally killed Chucky? Like, we all knew. Well, I kind of knew it was coming. It was just only a matter of time because when they take this long to, decide whether or not they're going to cancel a show or give us another season, they don't take this long. But yeah, Chucky wasn't giving. I'm sorry. I like the first 2 seasons, but season 3 was a hot ass mess. It was all over the place. And Don Mancini was starting to fall into Ryan Murphy territory, whereas it's like it starts out interesting in the beginning and then it kind of just goes off the rail. And I'm like, is this what happens with all the gay creators? Like y'all just start out great and then y'all just go left. And it's like, okay, what the hell is happening? Like you just be pulling things out y'all behind at this point. So it said, according to Deadline, the series based on the classic horror movie franchise will not return for a 4th season on Syfy and USA Network. The news comes 4 months after part 2 of Chucky's 3rd season aired its finale on both NBC Universal cable networks. And I also forgot to bring up that there was some drama that was going on with season 3, and I believe it had to do with the writer's strike, where they only were able to film half the season, and we wound up getting that, and then we had to wait for the second half because they wanted to come out in October. And so I feel like that may have affected it, but also I just did not understand where they were planning on going with the writing and the whole storyline and the cloning of the president and Chucky being in the White House. I'm like, okay, y'all just doing too damn much at this point. Like it was more believable when I watched that other sci-fi show that was actually pretty good, but then the last season started kind of going off the rails for me. Van Helsing, where they basically had the vampires was trying to take over the White House and take over the world, and they went and put this person in, and then she was the vampire, and then basically, what's her name? Katie Sackhoff was in that final season, I think. Or was it? No, I think it was Trisha Helfer. It was one of them women from Battlestar Galactica was the main villain in the finale that I'm trying to remember. I always get my blondes confused, unfortunately. My tall, statuesque, femme mask hybrid blondes. But yeah, the thing and then because the chick from Van Helsing kept getting freaking pregnant, they should have been like, bitch, you need to hold off on procreating until this damn show was over. Because every time I turned around, they had to reduce her seasons because she kept getting pregnant. Her husband was keeping her coochie busy. But that was the thing too. Like with the whole thing with that president storyline, that worked for me. But as far as like the whole Chucky thing, I was like, it was a mess. So this says series creator / executive producer Don Mancini having looking to carry on. He revealed in April that he had pitched the 4th season, saying at the time that it's something I really like to do. His enthusiasm helped spring the renewed Chucky fan campaign, which has been rallying support for season 4. Needless to say, today's outcome is not what he had hoped for. But Mancini, who had created and wrote the movie franchise, remained grateful in his reaction, vowing that this is not Chucky's last spree. Saying, I'm heartbroken over the years that Chucky won't be coming back. Over the news that Chucky won't be coming back for a 4th season, but I'm so grateful for the killer 3 years we did have. I'd like to thank UCP / Syfy / Peacock / Eat the Cat, our awesome cast and Toronto-based crew, the best in the business. And finally, to our amazing fans, a big bloody hug. Your incredible #renew Chucky campaign really warmed Chucky's cold heart. Chucky will return. He always comes back. Well, there have been rumors that he is looking to give us another movie. And I don't know how far along he is in the script of that, or if there's any, studios that's willing to put up some money for a Chucky movie. And at this point, are Chucky fans willing to go to a theater and support the film? But they said that now that there's been a lot of issues going on that it has to do with money. I don't know if it necessarily has to do, well, I think it does, because I was going to say, I don't necessarily if it has to do with whether or not the show has been on the decline, but I think it does, because I heard that the ratings were not that great for season 3. But I also think so it's the ratings that has to do with it. The fact that cable is losing so much money in regards of they can't afford these, scripted shows, because truth be told, people are not watching television the old school way anymore. Everybody's on streaming. Most people, I won't say everybody, most people are on streaming. Most people get their shows from streaming. When I watched Chucky, the only way I was going to watch Chucky is if they put up a season late, of course, on Shudder, which I think would be the smart thing for him to try to take that show too, and see if Shudder could put up some money to help bring this franchise back for another season. Or Peacock was another streaming service that I would use, that I would get to watch Chucky. So I don't have cable. I'm one of the many people who was like, I don't have a cable. I have internet service, but I have streaming services where I get all my entertainment, because like I said, I don't have cable. So there is a lot of, a decline in ad-supported cable business in the cord-cutting era. They said Syfy is now relying on Canadian, as is Surreal Estate, the upcoming revival, and modestly budgeted independent productions like Electric Entertainment's The Ark for its original scripted offerings. So they're cutting corners. They don't have the money to be able to afford a lot of these shows. And if a show is not doing well in the ratings, they're not going to take that risk to put a lot of money behind the show. Plus, no shade, I know a lot of people saying like there's this conspiracy that streaming services, networks are all canceling queer related content. There may be a little truth to that, especially with Netflix. I see how y'all be acting over there, where y'all giving shows that I don't know anybody that watches some damn Emily in Paris, but y'all keep giving them a new damn season. Meanwhile, a show come out for one damn season and y'all cancel it. But I was not feeling the chemistry between Jake and Devin. I just did not see the chemistry between them. Devin looked like he's 12. And yeah, Jake is Jake, but it's just like I just did not see that chemistry between them. And I like Lexi, but I was hearing something another day. She said if she was going to explore, if they were going to come back, she wanted to go back to being a bad girl. I'm like, first of all, it says this is why you are an actress and not a writer, because just act. Don't try to give no ideas, because it's like, no, we actually like Lexi because she's kind of like that girl who is, in layman terms, a bitch, but you understand based off of her circumstances why she is a bitch. And those are the type of characters that I like. I love a character that they're bitchy or they're mean. They're like, they have that whole vibe, but then there's a reason why they're bad, or the reason why they're mean spirited to me was because their upbringing, they didn't get enough attention, or something or another is happening in their family. So it's like you get those nuances. Those are the characters I like. I like the ones that blend in those shades of gray that aren't so black and white. And that's what I feel like her character needs to stay as. I couldn't stand her boyfriend in season 1. but I was like, yeah, I'm glad they killed his behind. But it'd be interesting. And then the Jennifer Tilly storyline with the they them twins, which there was a cackle. I seen that there was some photo shoot that Kim Kardashian did where she had the same hair as Glenn/Glenda. I was like, ma'am, are you trying to be non-binary for this shoot? Because it is not working. Not with them fake hips and booty pads you got up in your behind. So, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to offer on this story. All I just have to say is, it's unfortunate they canceled the show, but the reality is it just wasn't that, season 3 wasn't that great. Now, if they can just bring it back to basics and stop with all the campy cheesiness, like I love the original Child's Play. And Child's Play 2 was thoroughly entertaining too. But then it's like, once y'all got into the whole Bride of Chucky, See That Chucky, all these other things, it started to get a little too cheesy for me, a little too campy. And if y'all can find that balance of like bringing the dark twistedness of the original, but then also maybe a little bit of that campiness, find that balance, And maybe you could pull me back in. But for the most part, I was relatively disappointed with Chucky season 3. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are you disappointed the fact that we're not getting a third season of Chucky? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. So Robert says, I hate to say it, but straight people might be right. Yes, Dawn is gay, but straight people felt it was too queer. That turned them off. It's okay to be queer, but not full on queer, where you're alienating straight people. AMC, he's begging AMC and told NBC to fuck off and down. Well, yeah, once you're a part of the whole NBC thing, it's like whoever owns your thing, that's basically where you're stuck. So I don't know if you can get into. Wait, is AMC part of? I have to look into that. Who's AMC owned by? But I'm like, if he can get the rights and then shop it somewhere else, but I don't know how long his contract is with NBC Universal. So that is a good question. So it's like, yeah, unless you can go off and do something. And then, I mean, I don't feel like, well, was Chucky too queer? Well, it did get a little bonkers in regards. It was a little over the top and a little overtly campy. But I do agree with you on the whole thing. He definitely needs to hire more writers and have them flesh out ideas and make it interesting. So with him just coming in and writing by himself and just doing all this other, it's like, no, you need somebody to come in and kind of help you rein it in. So I wasn't really feeling, even for me, and I love, the gayness and stuff of the show, but I'm just like, okay, this is getting a little too ridiculous for me to even want to wrap my head around. Like, it's cool that we should have diversity and we should have gay characters, but when you're just kind of go, oh, I'm just gonna go balls to the wall and I'm gonna just keep pushing to see how far I could take it, then I guess that just rubs people the wrong way. You said Harley Quinn, child, because nobody cares about that record. Nobody cares about Lady Gaga doing fucking show tunes or you know covers of other people's jazz tracks. Like, nobody cares about all that unless you my parents' age. Those are the ones that's listening to that. Or if you're a show tune queen, those are the only ones who's listening to that. Other than that, girl, you built your whole career on being a pop star. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Now, I understand if you want to go off and do different things, there's nothing wrong with that. But when it's like you really trying to push for this other sound that you're doing, the Harley Quinn and the cheek and the Joanne, and when you're trying to do all of that, the fans are looking at you like, girl, what is this mess? And why is your label letting you just make this music? Especially when the numbers ain't matching the things you're putting out. But anyway, so let's move on and let's talk about this Ballerina trailer. Now, the other day we did talk about Halle Berry and the possibility that she said that she wants to get her own spinoff where she played, remember, Sophia in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, where she played one of the managers of the Continental in Calabasas. And then she had the dogs that basically the dogs was fighting alongside her, which was cool. I like seeing that sequence. So it was like, and again, the origin of where she got the dogs from, and then the backstory regarding her having to give up her daughter and John Wick basically hiding her daughter. So that way the high table and everybody else, should anything happen, they won't be able to get their hands on her child. So I did like the whole story, and I'm really got my fingers crossed that Halle Berry will get her own spinoff, as she should, because she was a highlight of that film. We already got Kane getting his own spinoff. Donnie Yen was in part 4, but we haven't heard anything about her. Then we had the Continental. The Continental was okay. I expected a whole lot more from that. We were trying to do it with a young Winston. I didn't care that much. The action sequences was cool, but other than that, it could have been a whole lot better. So now we have the Ballerina, which is based off of, speaking of Parabellum, a scene from that movie where you saw John go to, the opera house, and you see the ballerinas rehearsing, but they're also like assassins. And it was the head of the Roscaroma, who was played by Angelica Houston, who does have a cameo in this film as well. And then they're going to interject Ana de Armas's character, where I actually thought she was playing the girl that was on stage, Rooney. No, she's playing a completely different character, which I actually think is pretty good. So they're basically going to show like how she became this assassin. Her family is murdered. She wants to seek revenge. Winston comes across and meets her somewhere, probably in a precinct, which is covered in blood. And they trying to figure out, I guess, to dump her in a orphanage or whatever. But he's like, are you a dancer? Would you like to come in and all this other stuff? And hopefully, child, this don't demonetize me. If it does, I'll edit it out. But I'll play the trailer in the background without the sound on. So we go into this movie. Under the Armas definitely looks convincing in this film as an assassin. Because I know some people be like, and you know what, with that line that I was also thinking that of what she said, where she goes and says, what was it? Oh, when the woman in the film goes on and says that somebody's always going to be stronger and faster and stuff, that already sells you the line. Because one of the things I despise from people, oh, she's so little, she wouldn't be able to do all that. She's a girl, she wouldn't be able to take somebody out like that. It's like there are martial arts that they train you. And Chad Stahelski has mentioned this plenty of times. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to have a girl do the same type of thing that you would have like a male fighter do or a John Wick type do. You have to train the women into doing a type of style that would actually work for them. And the great thing about when you say improvising is like, yeah, use whatever you have in the room to kick that person's behind. And that's what I always love about action movies is the fact that when you can use whatever's in the room. If there's an iron on that damn table, I'm gonna use that and fuck you up with it. If there's if I could find a knife, a blade, whatever is lying on, in that room that you have right then and there, you want to use that to kick somebody's butt. So, seeing Ana de Armas as being a part of this movie, first of all, I loved her in what was I loved her in the last James Bond movie, even though she was in it for like 10 minutes. Her one scene in that film was the standout for me. Even though I have a love-hate relationship with No Time to Die, I felt like it could have been a way better send-off for Daniel Craig's character, but she was definitely the standout in that film. And seeing her have her own film, in my opinion, is going to be an amazing thing. And I can't wait. And I'm upset because we got to wait 9 months because the movie comes out in June and they just released the trailer couple of days ago. And so I'm a little bummed out about that. But overall, I am excited to see this new movie. I love this whole John Wick world in regards of, and also the music choice was amazing too. I forgot to bring that up. It's like set to Elton John's Tiny Dancer, which is perfect because, well, her character is actually called Eve Macaro or Macaro. That's probably how they say, if you got that one of those accents or whatever. But yeah, so I love the fact that they have, that they play Tiny Dancer because I'm like, now this is how you put together a trailer. The action pretty much laid out for you in the beginning. It tells the story of like what we can expect just in the teaser. And then the music choice was great. See, now Gladiator 2, this is how you make a good music choice. Yeah, the second trailer they did way better. But the first one, when y'all putting Kanye up in a movie about gladiators, I'm like, come on. Like, who are you catering this movie to? When you use Tiny Dancer, especially the fact that she is literally a tiny dancer, that works for this whole theme of the movie. So the trailer I thought was cut perfectly. I love the fact that, with this movie actually, and for those of you who didn't know, was supposed to come out over the summer. But because Chad went and looked at the film, was like, oh no, y'all need to beef up the action. We need way more action set pieces. We need to show off Ana de Armas a bit more in this film. They took a lot of time. He helped come up with some fight sequences and some action set pieces for this film. So now we have to wait until June of 2025, which I think is great because I believe 2025, in my opinion, is going to be a great year for a lot of movies that's coming out. And no shade. Or maybe, no, I ain't gonna say no shade. It is some shade. Let's bring up Disney. See, now, I love me some Scarlett Johansson, and I'm hoping that she definitely does with her thing in this upcoming Jurassic World movie. However, when you look at this trailer, this is basically what Black Widow should have been. But y'all didn't execute it the way it needed to be executed. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story or the trailer. Are you excited to see this upcoming movie? One of the things about me, and I don't want people coming in here with this, oh, it's a girl, and whoa. Listen, whatever. First of all, you know she beat your ass. That's probably why y'all mad. The ones that want to come over here with that gender crap. I've always been a fan of watching women fight movies or action movies. I've always liked female action stars, male action stars. I love action to begin with. So we need a lot more action films. Where is that resurgence of like the Sylvester Stallones and the Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where's the next generation of that? And we have Scott Adkins still. He's still young enough to do it. But where are this next generation? Like I said, the Dolph Lundgrens, the Michael Jai Whites, the Wesley Snipes, the who that rhyme? The Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, all those big 80s action stars that we had back in the day. Why can't we have a resurgence of that? Who is the next generation? Why aren't they making more movies? Not saying they had to be cheesy like the 80s, but in regards of why don't we have a resurgence of action films? I'm glad that we have this resurgence of horror movies, and 2024 has been a great year for horror films. But in my opinion, I feel like we need a resurgence in action movies. And to me, with the movies that Ana de Armas has been in lately, she is definitely that girl that has stepped up to the line and the plate in regards of being the next big action star. And y'all need to get Michelle Rodriguez in one of the movies too. I also say Jennifer Lopez, but she keep wanting to do some stupid rom-coms. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of the trailer and all this other stuff in the story, in the comments down below. Okay, so Robert said basically it's a 60 or 70-year-old, but your fan base is 20 and mid-30s, my age. Oh, you talking about Gaga? Mm-hmm. You making music for older people. Why are you making music for but you need to be catering to your fan base, but Gaga reads like an old lady. He said Ana de Armas might be the next female actress, so I'm glad she's not with. Thank God she isn't with him, because child, she probably seen all that toxicity a mile away too. It's too bad Jennifer didn't see it. She just be too damn digmatized. I'm trying to describe it. I'm just in love. I just love. No, you love pain. Let's be for real, sis. But anyway. Okay, so I had to lighten the mood before we get into this other mess. So let's get into this Diddy stuff. So the other day we did talk about how Diddy had this lawsuit from this woman. I had included it in passing with a story because I think I was looking for something over on the neighborhood talk to coincide with something else, and I had happened to come across this video or whatever or another. I saw another post that they had up there about a woman who filed a lawsuit on Friday, who basically is going by Jane Doe. She ain't said her name. She basically said that, filed another lawsuit against Diddy claiming allegations of SA and abuse that took place from 2020 to 2024, and that he forced her to ingest unknown substances, which caused her to black out, was forced to have intercourse without her consent, even got pregnant at one point. But then what we didn't hear was that old bird, Carisha, who over here doing interviews with Bussy MadAzz. And we're about to get into that old closet case after we do this story, or these Diddy stories. Because I truly believe anybody that sit up here worrying about what the gays is doing, you clearly want some dick in your butt. I'm sorry, go argue with your mammy, but I truly believe it. Because real men and women who are comfortable in their own skin, comfortable in my skin, aren't running around here worrying about what other people, who they hunching. Worry about your own shit. Worry about your child support payments. Worry about the fact that your husband or your baby daddy ain't in your kid's picture, instead of worrying about what other people doing. Now let's bring it on back to this foolishness. So we had, that old slowpoke, Carisha, apparently has something to do with this girl's situation because she's been named in the lawsuit. And I didn't bring that up in the last story because I didn't think, because that information wasn't privy at the time. But now that I got a little more detail, now we can talk about it. So it basically said that the former City Girl rapper and Diddy's mule, because that's what I truly believe she was. She gonna sit up here and say she wasn't. Miss Mama, you was a mule. Because you wasn't just collecting money just being his little sex slave. I'm sure you was running his Tucci too. So, basically said that she harassed Jane Doe by repeatedly calling her and tell her to basically terminate the pregnancy. And y'all know the word because, Instagram and all, I mean, not Instagram, YouTube and all the other stuff. There's certain things you can't say apparently. So I gotta be careful with the terminology. So now we got to get creative when we say things. So they said Combs and his staff also allegedly recorded their encounters of the sexual kind without consent, which caused the victim to fear for her safety and experience anxiety and depression. Some events accounted for in the suit even include instances that took place this past July, which was after the bad boy founders' homes were raided by Homeland Security. Allegedly, Combs continued to contact the alleged victim in order to control her actions and autonomy. And this is why a lot of people haven't been coming out and saying this other stuff, because I've been going back and forth with somebody on social media who continues to believe that, oh, this is all clout chasing and people are using this one, and then all of a sudden now everybody want to come out of the woodwork and make these allegations and all this other stuff. And I'm like, are you slow? Like, are you not aware of the amount of power and influence that Diddy has had, especially in hip hop culture, for the past 3 decades? I even saw, and I don't particularly care for him, but Bill Maher, I used to like him, but then he got a little too radical and a little too Looney Tunes, so I had to tune him out. I don't know what he put in his weed, but it just seemed like Bill Maher done lost his marbles, what's left of him. Probably eating away from all that crap you be lacing your weed with. But anyway, so he had, I think on his show on Friday, because I saw this in passing. I didn't really actually watch the episode, but I saw like clips and all this other stuff. So he had Ann Leibovitz on his show, or Fran Leibovitz, not Ann, Fran Leibovitz. Ann Leibovitz, I believe, is a photographer. Fran Leibovitz is like this, she's someone who's like very much into the feminist movement, all this other stuff. So anyway, he had her on his show, and he was asking her, when I don't know why, when he should have asked somebody within hip hop, that this has been going on for a long time. How come the music industry hasn't been Me Too'd? And I will tell you this, I've had conversations with people who I know that work within the music industry, and I've had conversations about this. I'm like, why have there not been a Me Too movement for music? And we was all sitting here, was like, it's only a matter of time before this happens. It's only a matter of time before the music industry is caught up in the whole Me Too situation. It was happening a lot with the movies. It was happening a lot with all the other conglomerates, fashion world, all the other stuff. Music, nobody was touching it, especially in hip hop. And they were saying that maybe the reason is because there was so much money to be made at the time. And yeah, when it's not affecting them, everybody's going to take their cut and mind their business and keep their head down and keep it moving. But now that the chickens have come home to roost, now everybody want to run off and tell their tales, and rightfully so. But be upfront and honest about what your intentions are. But I had somebody who was on there was just like, I'm like, well, maybe you're not articulating what you're trying to say, but it just came across like you were making excuses, and you were trying to say that everybody who's coming out all of a sudden is trying to get, piggyback off of whatever. Maybe now because Diddy has no more power, you have no power here, as they say in The Wizard of Oz. Once that person's power is stripped and taken away, then yes, a lot of people will find that battery, put it in their bag, and start spilling tea. And they have a right to do so, because if you're scared, why would you come out and say anything? God knows, there's been many allegations of people talking about that Diddy can make people disappear. Diddy can ruin people's lives. And people are not willing to have their lives and their family and their livelihood destroyed because they want to be this trailblazer and come out and spill tea. Because if they do that, y'all not going to be there for the, oh yeah, y'all will sit and roast and gag and cackle and kiki and live for all the tea that's being spilled. But are you going to be willing to step up and protect these people who are coming out and telling these tales? So you have to look at it from all these other points. But his point that was coming across was just very much like, you sound like a Diddy defender. And then had the absolute nerve to bring up, well, because somebody posted something on social media saying, well, they going in on Diddy, but the same energy should have been kept for Dan Schneider. Now, for those of you who ain't been keeping up, Dan Schneider is the guy that used to run Nickelodeon back in the day. And remember, they had the Nickelodeon docuseries that came out, and a lot of people was talking about a lot of the conditions and all the craziness and the bullying and the type of weird content that was borderline sexual that was going on the show. And when we look back on a lot of the episodes, you definitely seem like, wait a minute. Now, this is some stuff. These kids should not be doing this stuff on no damn TV show. So I was like, okay, first of all, this is apples and oranges. I don't know how you want to sit up here and compare what Dan Snyder did to what Diddy did. First of all, the feds done jumped in. And there's videotape, there's evidence, there's all kinds of stuff because Diddy an idiot, an arrogant one, and like to keep collections of every damn thing. Like he was the ER at Viacom. Now, for those of you who don't know, I know I'm giving you a little inside tea. When I used to work at VH1, they have something within Viacom called the ER. The ER is a place that you go to pick up tapes of old footage from the shows that you want to use, and as a producer, that you want to pull things from certain clips that you want to air on the show. So that's a little inside information from somebody who used to go, used to be over there at Viacom, 1515 Broadway down in Manhattan, my old stomping ground. So that was like a little insider joke or whatever. So yeah, so basically he's just keeping like a collection of this stuff. And do I believe that Carisha has something to do with it? I would not be surprised because she a damn donkey. She thought that she was up in there getting, her little payout, but I know she had to do a whole lot more than sit up there, lay low and spread it wide on Diddy's flaccid dick, because that mother flower couldn't get hard. All them damn drugs he doing. So he probably was up in there doing like what the the porn stars be doing, where they be injecting that stuff and they peen to get it hard. Because when you're doing all that damn drugs, I'm sure that the Viagra is not going to do what it need to do, especially the type of stuff he was doing. And then, the stuff where I was talking about with the pink booger sugar, known as 2C or 2Chi. And so, yeah, there was and then also I should add that, there was a thing about one of his drug mules, Brendan Paul, who was arrested, but wound up getting them he said that he got them from Young Miami. But they also said what's in it is a combination of ecstasy and booger sugar. But child, from based on what I heard about Tucci, there ain't no damn booger sugar in it. There's all kinds of other stuff. We talked about it on the show. So yeah, so that's one thing that we're gonna get with that. And we'll see if she gets pulled into having to testify and go to court and those other stuff. And girl, if you care about your child, you're gonna start snitching. But this is what happens when you're trying to be like the Ghislaine Maxwell. He already had his Ghislaine. She was the assistant. So now let's move into the next thing, because I want to get all of this out of the way. And let's talk about the diddler and the fact that, there's 50 more SA victims, including minors, men, and women, that are coming out and saying, the things that there's more people coming out and with their own lawsuits. So there's a law firm in Houston that is repping more than 50 alleged victims who say they face SA and abuse from Diddy and his associates, and they're predicting the group will keep growing as the case progresses. So according to Radar Online, they said that Texas Powerhouse attorney Tony Busby has been selected to represent the group of alleged victims, which is said to include both men and women, as Diddy languishes in prison, reportedly so panicked and petrified that he could be lined up for a poisoning execution behind bars because they say he refuses to eat. Well, can't they force him to eat if he can't eat in jail? Can they force food down his throat, like tie him down and force him to eat, and then make sure that he don't throw up? Like they gotta make him like, don't you stick your fingers down your throat? I'm gonna electroshock your behind. I don't know what the process is, but I'm just asking. So the caption read, the Busby law firm has been associated by the Ava Law Group to act as lead counsel to pursue claims, it says, on behalf of more than 50 individuals who suffered SA and abuse at the hands of Diddy and his cohorts. The group of brave individuals include both men and women. Many were minors when the abuse occurred. Some of these brave individuals reported the incidents to the police, others did not. His caption continued, each individual's story is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. The acts complained of occurred at hotels, private homes, and also at the infamous P. Diddy freak-off parties. The violations against the group of individuals are mind-boggling and can only be described as debauchery and depravity exacted by powerful people against minors in the week. And I think that is what we need to focus on. The fact of the matter is the diddler and many of the people who was probably associated with him, who were under his, employment, they will prey on minors and weak people, people who don't have the financial wherewithal to not comply or to go against what was being done or to go to the police or whatever the case is. Maybe after the fact they went to them, and of course, per usual, the police didn't do anything. But if you have proof that you filed a report and all this other stuff, have that as part of your case. And what they said they're talking about, because what they said it was, Texas. Isn't there a lot of border? Isn't there a border over there? So it's kind of making me wonder: was there any kind of trafficking going on? When you have these people, like the minors, all of stuff that he talking about, a lot of when they come over into this country wanting a better life, 9 times out of 10, a lot of them get trafficked, and will end up at these celebrity parties where these people of Diddy's caliber is out here having freak-offs with underage girls and boys, doing all kinds of stuff to them. So I would not be surprised by any of this. So they said that Busby has yet to file a lawsuit on behalf of the 50 individuals. He noted a press conference is expected to take place early next week, at which time some of these stories can be told as the nation learns more and grapples with the potential scope of the scandal. He added, "We are proud to rep these group of brave souls and pray for justice on their behalf. The impending lawsuit follows more than a dozen lawsuits filed against the music mogul." So they already said that he's got a dozen, so plus 50 plus. So it's like what, 6? Well, as far as we know, it's like damn near, it's like over 60 lawsuits. It's going close to 100. That's a lot going against this man. Because it's like what, 62 as far as we know. The impending lawsuit follows, more than a dozen lawsuits, blah, blah, blah. He's already in the Metropolitan Detention Center. He was denied bail twice. We already know all of this. So, yeah, that's basically the latest on him with the freak-offs. They said they have evidence of the stuff. They have electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. He pretty much has all this other stuff. They also was talking about, like, he has 1,000 bottles of baby oil. And some people are like, well, what does he need with all that baby oil? Now, the word on the curb is that they said that's probably where he was stashing his, the drugs and things, was in the baby oil. So it might not necessarily be Johnson & Johnson baby oil in the baby oil. So maybe what they need to do is test it, if they haven't already, and find out what the hell is in that baby oil. Because who needs that much baby oil? That's what I say. Unless you're doing oil wrestling at your freak-offs and you just pouring all that all over the floor for a bunch of women and some of these young dudes or whatever to be rolling around for your entertainment, then I don't understand the point of having like 1,000 bottles of baby oil. So my thing is, if you have they have all this evidence against you, Diddy, because you're foolish behind decided to keep all the evidence, you are not getting out of jail. You're not going to be able to get away with this. And then they told me he wants to testify. And I just saw a story today, and I'll probably bring it up tomorrow, like to go into further detail. But I'm just in passing going to say some attorneys are advising that he need not testify. Like, you're going to make shit worse. I don't understand why your attorney is telling you, oh, it's going to be hard for me to keep him off the stand. If that's what you're advising your client, who is clearly guilty, that he needs to defend himself, he's going to stick his foot even further down his throat, you are the worst damn attorney under the sun. If anything, I would be advising my client not to get on the stand, because he's going to make situations worse. And I don't know where he found this man, but he need to throw him back where the hell he came from and get him somebody who actually knows what the hell they're doing. But I guess at this point, now, you want about clout chasing. This attorney comes across like he a damn clout chaser. Like, he don't care about Diddy. Not that we should care about him, because he is a monster. But if you're an attorney and that's your client, the thing you should be doing is giving a damn about your client. Even if you know they're guilty, figuring out a way. Your job is to try to get them off, to convince the jury why he shouldn't be locked up. Even though for all of us now listening to all this mess, it's going to be real hard to try to find a jury of 12 plus 2 alternates who will be able to want to take this trial. So I say all this to say, yeah, what do y'all think of this story? This is the latest on him and on his whole situation. And then also, there was this last story where I just want to add this up in here so that way we can move on. There was a booger sugar dealer who claimed to have seen high-profile celebrities tangled in drug-fueled orgies at one of Diddy's wild parties. He said he took off running as weird itch was starting to happen, claiming celebrity guys were effing each other. And talk about that, Diddy was once viewed as a modern-day Gatsby whose extravagant star-studded soirees were hailed as legendary in Hollywood. Well, of course it was, because of all the shenanigans that was going on. And when you're a celebrity, you can't be going around just like, you can't be doing like our regular parties. Like, if we have parties and stuff in New York and it happens to be a dark room, you're not famous, so nobody's going to snitch on you. Or maybe sometimes you don't care, so you just be going up in there and doing your dirt. But at a Diddy party, it's all discreet. Everybody know, everybody be able to do whatever they want, discreet-ish, because apparently this heifer was up in there recording everything. So he got all these people without their knowledge, probably, on tape, hunching each other, and if they're in a relationship, other people. But here's the thing. So this is what is irritating me, because the drug dealers, oh yeah, it was so wild, it was so crazy. I would just want to sell my drugs and make my coins and get up out of there. But if you're consenting adults, you go up in there and you just hunch a little, hunch to your heart's desire. So celebrity men is up in there having same sex, whatever, which I'm sure is going to happen, because when you in this industry, trust and believe, everybody ain't straight. There's some people in here that bisexual or just like, identify as straight, but there's like the occasional getting off with someone of the same gender. Hollywood was one big free fall. It's like Caligula up in there. But if you're grown, you should be able to do what the hell you want. I ain't judging nobody that's an adult. And if y'all consenting adults and you consented on what the situations happen between you and that person, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. But when you got people up in there where you're treating male and female prostitutes as your little guinea pigs, or you're just doing whatever you feel that you could do with them, because as long as I'm throwing all this money at you, I could pretty much I have full autonomy over your body. Where you're forcing male prostitutes and women into these drug-fueled extended sexual performances that last for days, which is why Diddy was always taking them drugs to keep himself up. So it kind of made me wonder, was he up in there doing the meth too? And then he said, basically, according to the deal, he said he showed up at Diddy's mansion in the Hamptons, where the rapper greeted him at the door wearing only a robe. And then he told the New York Post the pair walked to a back bedroom to make the cocaine deal, comparing the area with multiple bedrooms to the inner sanctum. That's where he claimed to have witnessed a disturbing scene, saying weird itch was starting to happen. Celebrity guys effing each other. You see two people you would not think would be hooking up rappers. That was what shocked me. I won't say names, but there were rappers that I immediately lost respect for and could not take serious ever again. The dealer recalled, that's when I got the F out of there. Now, Diddy was not one of the individuals the source claimed to have seen. Well, he was busy trying to, secure a drug deal. So, of course, you ain't seen him. He was wearing a robe trying to pay you your money to send you on your way. But he also noted the crowd was made up of a mix of female rappers and hookers. He also said several people were high on ketamine and GHB. Well, I don't know how he would know what drugs they was on, because, unless you've seen them taking the GHB, which you put that in your water, or you see them doing Special K, then you can't say that you know what people were high on. Now, he says it's unclear when the alleged encounter took place, but Diddy held his famous A-list white parties at his beachfront property between 1998 and 2009 and quietly sold the home in 2020. Child, I know y'all had to sage that place, because if y'all knew what was going on behind them walls, if them walls could talk. Now, they said some of the regulars at his white parties included Jennifer Lopez, members of the Kardashian family, the Hilton sisters, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Al Sharpton, child, and Martha Stewart. And don't forget, they had Aretha up in there too. Yeah, Riri, Miss Reefa Franklin. They said Leonardo DiCaprio, Regis Philbin, and Chevy Chase were also photographed at the swanky events. Paris Hilton recalled being at the first bash in 98, telling the Hollywood Reporter 10 years later it was iconic and everyone was there. Yeah, because we even had Kendra Wilkinson recently talking about not only the Diddy parties, but Hugh Hefner. And people was bringing up Hugh Hefner in the conversation too. Why nobody talking about Hugh Hefner? Everybody talking about, why y'all always want to be like, try this whole race thing? And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit up here and try to act like race don't play in the way media handles certain situations. And there have been women that were a part of Hugh Hefner's harem of hookers, or women, whatever you want to call them, that have spoken out about the things that went on at the Playboy Mansion. A lot of y'all may have not been paying attention, but I do agree that there has been more emphasis put on the Diddy freak offs and all this other stuff going on because hip hop, a black man, all the stereotypes that plays into the media sensationalism of it all. I do agree that that plays into it, but unless y'all gonna be willing to bring it up and start continuously bringing it up, then it's gonna be what it is. It's like the same thing with Dan Schneider. Until somebody from Nickelodeon comes out and says something and basically says that Dan Schneider did something to me, unless Amanda Bynes come out and say that something happened between them, because they was real close back in the day. Unless anybody else from Nickelodeon said that they were Me Too'd by Dan Schneider, nothing's going to be done. So I don't understand the comparison between Dan Schneider and Diddy or anybody else when y'all try to equate them in the conversation. So make it make sense. So I say all this to say, because I wanted to lump all that up in there. What do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, now speaking of which, we have a lot of comments, so let's get up to them. Oh, excuse me. They said streets are saying that the baby oil was being mixed with G and T and MD. That's why I said that there was drugs apparently that was mixed into the baby oil. And I don't know, because I don't do drugs like that. I stick to the alcohol and the weed. That's as far as I go. Anything else, I did my stuff back. I did my dirt back in my 20s. Not saying I'm old now and I'm not doing things sexually. The drug stuff, I ain't mess with these drugs these days, because y'all be putting all kinds of stuff there. Everything is in the drugs but actual drugs. The stuff that's supposed to get you high. They be putting all kinds of crazy roach repellent and all kind and ground up dirt. And then y'all be putting freaking, Fenty and all kinds of other crap in the drugs. It's like, it's not even real pure drugs anymore. Even the cocaine, you snort one line of cocaine, your damn nose coming off. So, I do wonder, like, if the baby oil, if they mix all that in there, do you like take it and then rub it all over your body and you get like an instant high? Because I have heard that, there's some people that you may not know this, it might get a little graphic, but there's some people that take and do like alcohol enemas, where it's like they take the alcohol and they wanted to get into their system faster. And your anal walls, that's gonna absorb the alcohol. So people shoot alcohol and all kinds of other things in their butt or they coochie, whatever you want to, whichever thing of choice, so that way you get that buzz real quick. So I do wonder, like, if you do the baby oil mixed with the G, the Tino and the GHB and the, MDMA, not MDNA, that's Madonna. She did name her album that. And then you rub it in your skin if you get a quick high. Yep, 50 more victims. Suge Knight saying that Puffy doing what they did to him doesn't justify it. Puffy knew exactly what he was doing. See recent pics of Bieber child is going. Yeah, I see. Yeah, we talked about that on the show the other day. Justin Bieber looked like a damn homeless person. He looked like he living on Skid Row. He looks super skinny. He looks like he ain't washed in days. The hair looked a little nasty, like it's dirty. Like, he just do not look healthy at all. So I don't know if it's like a product of stuff happening back in the day and that trauma is coming back and he's basically just destroying, like, damaging his body because of it. Because you always hear that when it comes to people who've been abused. There's a lot of self-harm. There's a lot of self-stuff that goes on where it's just like, oh, I have control of my body, and the way I have control over it is I don't bathe, or I don't eat, and I don't take care of myself health-wise, or or I start self-sabotaging. So I'm like self-medicating with drugs and alcohol and that sort of thing. And then there was a thing that came out about the Kardashians, where Khloe was bringing up Justin Bieber was butt naked. I mean, at Diddy's butt naked party, and it's like, where was his protector? Where was Scooter Braun? Where was Usher? Well, Usher was probably passing his ass around because that's supposed to be his mentor, allegedly. So when you got Usher and taking that boy under your wing, and then you passing him down to Diddy, when you can't tell me, and I truly believe that somebody that Usher was played around with as a child, especially when you 13, living with a grown ass man who was probably doing all of these, like these freakos ain't just happened last week. They've been going on for decades. He said feeling Puffy might be Epstein if we try. Yeah, that's why I said that I truly feel that he will get Epsteined. Not Street saying Puffy is an insatiable bottom. That's what I was going to say. That isn't tea. First of all, I think a lot of us look at Diddy like he a big old butch queen. Like if you look at old pictures of him, he is definitely giving butch queen tease. And I do not see Diddy topping. Number one, with all them drugs in his system, that dick is not getting hard. So I would not be surprised if he had Cassie, if he had Carisha pegging him. Meanwhile, she out here worrying about, why Bussy MadAzz talking about gay people, and you talking about you slap your child if he comes out to be a homosexual, but you probably out here allegedly pegging your man because he paying your bills. Okay. So it's funny how y'all accept homosexuality unless it benefits you financially. What child? 143 debuted at number 6 with 46K units. I guess she does have. Well, look, we'll see how the numbers are next week. So it's cute, whatever you in the top set. It's still a low number because all her albums, didn't they go number 1 at one point? And now you debuting like halfway up the chart. I guess she does have fans, but it's Small and Smile, which opened at number 5. Yeah. So yeah, it's still a flop. It don't matter where she debuted. The album is still going to be a flop. It said more stuff / lawsuits will keep coming out. I have heard many celebrities who tangle with him say anything they are shitting. Of course they are. Of course they shitting their pants because they worried about being in the evidence. They worried about being on them freak off tapes. And a lot of them's going to be outed. So it's only a matter of time before it comes up. And it comes out. And child, y'all better get ready. Especially if y'all about to be outed. As a Puff probably going through drugs. That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking he's got to be going through withdrawals because if he was out there, like when they arrested him, they said they found that pink booger sugar on him. So you already know he probably was hiding Cooter Brown at that point. And he ended up in the jail, going through withdrawals, probably throwing up and pooping every damn where in that cell. And then, having to go through that, sweat it on out. What is it? Not Mother Aretha. Yeah, Aretha was there, but she was at the white party. We don't necessarily know if she had the wristband to go in the back. To have somebody sucking on them big old boobs. And her titties, even when she was skinny, them suckers hung down to her knees. So can you imagine getting milked by Aretha Franklin, let alone get smacked in the face with one of them heavy ass breasts she got? 143 opening numbers, 37.5K came from pure sales. So she has Madam X type streaming numbers. Girl is 39 and has Madonna numbers in the US 16 years later. She's much bigger internationally. Wait, who's bigger internationally, Madonna or Katy Perry? Oh yeah, we know about Leo DiCaprio. He's still having his own little freak off. I'd be like, maybe he learned what he learned from Diddy. He having his little certified freak offs, with his little 24, 25-year-old girlfriends on his little yacht. But anyway. Yeah, let's get into this mess. Let's talk about Bussy MadAzz. I'm about tired of this old raccoon-eyed, yellow-eyed heifer. You need to get his kidneys checked, because you giving hepatitis T's. So, Father of the Year, Bussy MadAzz's daughter, Ivy, is fed up with her homophobic dad bashing her on the internet and in hood booger media. The rapper came under fire over his recent interview where he said he fears his lesbian daughter bringing her partner around because she might contaminate her other siblings. Now, when he said that shit, I damn near fell the fuck out. Oops, see, now I'm trying not to cuss on this show. I'm trying to curb my mouth because YouTube has been on my behind lately with the profanity. So I'm trying to, reel it in. I was doing a good job so far, but then when I started talking about this old raccoon-eyed ashy heifer, I started to lose it. And then the mouth starts doing what it does. So yeah, he went on Carisha Please, because she did a live taping. I don't know who's funding that, because Miss Thing can't even forge a couple of words together to make a sentence, yet she get to host her own damn show. But yeah, we all know that having Bussy up there, she asked him basically, why you always talk about gay people? I do have the clip of what he said, and I also have the clip of his daughter clapping back because she got tired of him. First of all, he has another daughter, I cannot remember her name, where she went off on him on social media. She went on a live, cussed him out, just went in because he was somebody he wanted to take her car, and it was a bunch of other stuff. She said they should have left him on death row. Like she was saying all kinds of stuff, and she said, and I mean it with all my chest, and we're saying a whole bunch of stuff. So it's two of the daughters that basically is cussing him out, but I believe that Ivy is his oldest. And she went in on him, and she was like, "I mind my business. I go about my dad." She got her steady girlfriend. Congratulations to her. At least she's in a committed relationship, unlike her damn father, who's out here promoting, his young sons having sex with older women. I don't know why his CPSA came in and take them kids away from him for that, if he has custody. And was out here saying all kinds of other stuff, but she got tired of his mess and had to clap back. So I want to give a shout out to Gay Magazine because they had the clip. But I also wound up having her full thing, which I'm going to play y'all. But hold on, because I want y'all to hear this clip and then we'll come back.
Smoke. Lucy, why you always in gay people business? Look. Why you always in gay people business?
Can I answer?
Yes.
I don't really be in gay people business. I just speak on what I don't agree with. I don't wake up thinking about gay people. I mean, I just might say something every once in a while that I don't like. And as a voice, I have that right. I have that right for me. I have that right for the sons that I'm raising up to be men. I have that right. If I don't like somebody doing something that a woman does, that is a woman trait, I'm going to have something to say about it, and you might as well get used to it. You're right, I'm a Southern Baptist. I feel a certain way about a lot. I was raised a certain way.
Yeah, so I think that's like, we was church, but I think that when you grow, you get older, you wiser, everybody is different in life. Nobody's the same. You gotta love people for who they are.
I do. I mean, I love people. I have gay people in my family. I just don't condone the issue. It's not coming. I'm raising a generation.
So when your daughter came out and told you she was gay,
it was nothing. I mean, she still can't bring her situation to our house. My daughter is grown.
Well, why? She's grown.
Because I don't want it to contaminate her others. It's a generation we raising. I don't want her to get contaminated to her other 6, 7 sisters who look up to her.
So y'all all heard that, and then the audience gagged when he said that. So it was like, and I was shocked because I'm like, you already know what type of audience that Carisha and them give. So you already know, like, if you read the Shade Room and you read all them comments and stuff over there, the type of ignorance and stuff that they incorporate, because birds of a feather, you already know the rest. So with him saying all that, and when you saying bringing her situation, what the fuck is a situation? And then number two, have the nerve to talk about you don't want what she is to contaminate her other siblings, as if gay people are a disease, gay people are a virus, and a lot of the stuff that he's saying is a lot of old school homophobic tropes that has been indoctrinated and passed down. Now, I understand that he comes from a pastor's background, like his grandfather was a pastor and all this stuff, and you want to hide behind the church and use that as your little smoke screen or whatever the case is. But for the most part, you are a freaking hypocrite. Because let's not forget that there's been many a times that he's come out and spoken about, gay people, trans people, trans children he came out speaking about Zaya Wade. Zaya Wade out here mind her damn business, but he's sitting there worrying about how Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union is taking care of their child. What does that have to do with you? When Quiet As Is Kept, and I'm going to play y'all this clip, you don't even have your own house in order because 2 of your kids can't even stand you. And then I've even put on blast that when you get on their nerves, the other sibling nerves, who do the kids end up calling? Her. And let's not also forget how he said, what was it? When did The Color Purple come out? Was that last year? How he went and took them to see his daughters to see The Color Purple, only to walk out because he said the film seemed gay and didn't want to expose his daughters to it. Now, for those of us who saw The Color Purple, who actually read the book, because we already know Bussy is illiterate and can't read. He can't even read the girls or anybody down to the floor. What makes you think he could open up a book and actually read what's on the page? So he came out and said, "Oh, the book is, the movie was it was gay stuff and gay. First of all, the movie wasn't gay. It was like one little scene, but first of all, I felt like it was worse than the original version. Shug and CD go in the kiss, and the light damn near blinds us, so you didn't even really see if they made contact. Whereas in the original movie with Whoopi Goldberg and Margaret Avery, you saw the 2 women kiss. And then they kind of like the camera pans away. You already know what happened there. But if you read the book, it goes deeper into Shug and Celi's relationship. So when people try to act like they brand new, like The Color Purple, just something that just came out a year ago, when The Color Purple been around since the 80s, the book and the movie. So it's like you literally be out here clout chasing. That's why when she asked about the gay thing and he smiled from ear to ear, I ain't never seen nobody cheese that damn hard, especially when talking about the gays. Because he loves it. He knows anytime he talk about the gay, now talk about clout chasing. Nobody cares about the music. The music is trash. But the only time this ninja gets attention is when he's fixated on what the gays are doing. The gays and the trans. Because he knows that brings him attention. That gets him clout. So, and you play into these certain things, that's going to, give you attention. When he goes on Vlad TV, because that's he's one of the 5 people that Vlad can get over there to be on his tired ass show. And then, of course, Carisha's slow behind where she needs to sit up in here and worry about these allegations that's coming out with her and the diddler. And this is the same hoe that was running around, this bird, was up in here talking about how she was going to beat her son if he came out as gay. And this is back in 2018. And then had the absolute gall to put out gay merch over the summer for Pride Month as a way, because you know how the grifters are. If there's anybody that's one of the biggest grifters, is Donald Trump. But I see a lot of y'all jumping on that. So now she tried to come up in our community and thought that she was going to eat by creating shirts for us. It's like, sis, we ain't forget what you said. It wasn't that long ago. And you had this old queen, more grease on his lips than the grease I put in my damn frying pan to fry my chicken, was up in here talking about trying to sell her tight-ass products. If you want them old nasty looking behind of yours, don't go sit your behind down somewhere with this foolishness. So yeah, this is the foolishness that he's saying. But now we at a point, and then I'm going to read some of the comments, because this is going to be a long video. Because I want y'all to get the whole nuance and breakdown of this whole situation. I can't just play no clip of what Ivy had to say about her father. Y'all got to see the whole thing and experience it. So that way y'all can be just as mad and heartfelt as I felt. Because I felt for this girl. It's like you got dealt a bad hand with this trash-ass father of yours. And now she said that she tried so hard to be in her father's situation, like getting to be around him and know him and all sorts of stuff. And that how the emotional aspect of being a parent is non-existent. Yeah, he told her how to hustle, which that's, I guess, all he knows. But the emotional aspect of a father and a daughter is non-existent. And it's sad, like, you know, when it gets to a point where when you fed up and you tired of people name being in your mouth and this man talking all this mess, but he ain't even talk to you about his feelings regarding the situation between y'all. And he got a whole lot to say to Carisha. He got a whole lot to say to the internet. He got a whole lot to say to Vlad, but he ain't got shit to say when it comes to his own kid. Cause you a pussy. Which is why I call him Bussy MadAzz. Cause you always mad about something and you a straight up bussy. A male vagina. Who can't fight, clearly. Because if you was that damn strong in your beliefs, you would be man enough to talk to your daughter about whatever issue you got with her. But you too damn scared. It's easy for you to hide behind the damn internet or go on some damn interview and get a bunch of clicks and likes. But you ain't even man enough to talk to your own kid. So yeah, so shout out to all hip hop for ripping this. This is gonna be a long video. It's probably gonna be like 12 minutes. So we'll play this clip, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna talk. Please hold.
Man, I really don't even know where to start for real, because this ain't even my character. I don't really be getting on here and giving y'all what y'all want. But I feel like my daddy want me to give y'all what y'all want, and he want me to give him what he want as well. Okay, so he always speaking on my sexuality. The whole world know that. And it been about 2 years now that I'll be quiet. I keep quiet on the shit. I wouldn't say nothing. You know, I just go with the flow. I did everything in my power to understand that this is my father, regardless. Like, I'm gonna accept him and love him for who he is. So I just seen he recently did an interview with Carisha, and he used the word contaminating. And putting my siblings in it with that. If you know me, this shit make me so mad. If you know me,
I don't know what's gonna happen with this damn ad.
I love and respect my siblings with everything in me. And they respect me and love me with everything in them. When you getting on their nerves, I'm who they call. My siblings, most of my siblings, teenagers. Teenagers you don't want to let grow up. But okay. Another thing. You keep speaking on me gay. You keep doing interviews and I don't say nothing, right? The first ever interview you did, you said you found out I was gay, that I like girls and I had a girlfriend from a picture that went viral. That was a lie. I let that slide. I never addressed it. You found out I was gay a year before that. The incident happened in Jamaica when I was a gay B-word, when you called me a gay B-word. So if the world really knew all the things and the hurtful things you told me before and I forgave you, you wouldn't even understand. And no matter how you feel, at the end of the day, nigga, I'm your blood. I am your daughter. And me, I feel like I done been through the most with you. And every time I turn around, it's like you bash me. It's like you bash me. And it's like the whole world can go against you, but Ivy won't. Since I've been a little girl, I never would go against you. And I think I'm really fed up. And you get to talking about God. Like, I don't know my God. He talking about God and how I grew up. I know my God from Nita, from my mama. My mama sent me scriptures every morning. My mama put me in the church home. I don't recall not one time I'm ever getting up with you and you taking me to the Lord's house. I don't never recall it. I didn't learn that from you. I learned to hustle from you. I learned to not let nobody play with me from you, even if it's you. You get what I'm saying? And it's crazy because I never downplayed you. I never said you was a bad father, because you're not. You gonna make sure your kid's straight. You always gonna do that. But emotionally, mentally, you suck. You suck, bro. And I know you suck with that because you rather go to the internet and have a conversation with the internet about your kids before you come to us and have that conversation. He done did about 6-7 interviews about me being gay, right? He never not have one sit down with me, myself, just him and Aviana, and ask me why you became that way, Fat. What triggered you? It never been that. Every question y'all asking him, and he giving y'all them answers. If I go ask him that, he wouldn't give me an answer. You know what I'm saying? He don't. The things that he do, bruh, I would have never thought he would do. And it's like, I came to the point to where yesterday, it just really did it to me. Because I'm like, bruh, I would always not say something because I would feel like I'm not finna get on here and disrespect my pops. I'm not finna get on here and go against the grain and go against my daddy. Nobody finna make me do that. But it's like, you making me do that. They not even making me do that. You making me do that, nigga, because you steady speaking on me. You steady, like, I would respect if you just say, just one time, just say, my daughter know how I feel about that. Can we move on to the next question? I can never get that from you. If y'all go look at my interviews, y'all will see. Anytime they try to make it like my daddy don't fuck with me or he this and that, I say he love me regardless. This my pops. I ain't going against him. Y'all ain't gonna turn me against him. I always stood on it. And it's like, I feel like you just don't be caring. You just don't care about my feelings no more. You just don't care about my heart. Because you're entitled to feel how you feel. You're entitled to your own opinion. Everybody is. Everybody is. And then another thing, I take a lot of backlash from you. I take a lot of backlash from you, Pops. Like a lot of people be scared to work with me. A lot of people don't want to work with me. A lot of opportunities have been missed because you are my father. But that's something I can't change. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go around like, I don't fuck with that nigga anyway because he don't fuck with me. I don't do that just so I can get on. You know what I'm saying? And with this music shit, if you broadcast my music the way you broadcast me being gay, maybe I'll be further than what I am. But you so worried about me being gay, you can't even see my true talent. The world always talking about, I know your dad is so proud of you. He should be so proud of you and all that. Man, I don't remember the last time he told me that. I don't remember the last time I got that from him.
Okay, so I don't know. These damn ads is getting on my nerves. So there's like 4 more minutes left in the video. If y'all want to see the rest of the video, I feel like y'all pretty much got the gist of it. Is the fact that Bussy out here pretending like he's got this great, he's bashing his daughter in the press, but like she said, he has never really come out and really had this conversation with her. And the fact that how his homophobia is affecting her career as an artist. Because the name she goes by is Poison Ivy in the music business as a rapper. So she's trying to get put on as well, but it's become more difficult for her because people are, I guess, because of her association with him. A lot of people, I guess, I don't know if it's they don't want to mess with Bussy or the fact that he's got a lot of pull in places that people are scared to work with her because he's probably got some dangerous behind the scenes type of stuff going on. But I don't know why people are surprised. This is the same man that was just out here defending Diddy, trying to say the whole industry is like that. He's the one that lumped everybody, all of hip hop in this whole, oh, he just being a freak. Everybody in hip hop do it, which of course is why Method Man to come out and be like, I don't need y'all to like, I don't know if he was talking specifically to Bussy or he was just saying it in general. I'm going to go with him saying it in general. But he was saying, like, don't lump all of hip hop into this conversation. Don't say all of us be doing this because we all don't. Not everybody goes to a Diddy party. Not everybody be go doing the freak offs. And not everybody be up in here taking advantage of other people. But I could understand if Bussy stood 10 toes down on his stuff if he was a patron saint. I could understand if he was like, Joel Osteen, TD Jakes type, where he was out here making gospel music and stood 10 toes down on his homophobia and also, which we already know is indoctrinated within that man-made, religion, the slave religion that a lot of you black people have adopted from the colonizers. If you really want to talk about religion, we can go there because I'll give you the history lesson. Y'all won't like it on where the true essence of religion and organized religion comes from. I wouldn't have got my A in sociology if I didn't. So, a lot of people, there were some people that jumped in the comments and said the following. So, shout out to Gay Magazine because I'm going to read some of y'all's. One person says, Southern Baptists who make songs about two red bones kissing in the back seat and liking girls who like girls, that attracts you, yet you don't support your daughter? Imagine. And that's another thing, too, we need to bring up. He's a damn hypocrite. He wrote a song about women getting it on. He's written songs about him being in threesomes. He's written songs about girl-on-girl action. But you got a problem with your daughter. And the fact that he keeps fixating on it. And I wish that, like what she said, if you just say, like, my daughter knows I stand on her situation, next question, he couldn't do that. He needed to just do this whole sermon on stage, calling people situations, and talking about how he don't want her gayness to affect his other siblings. But she mentioned when there's drama that goes on up in your house and your other kids is tired of your shenanigans because you don't want them to grow up, who they call? Her. And I'm sorry, but gayness is not contagious. Yeah, in a lot of situations, like based off the music that you putting out there and the life you'd like to lead yourself and this whole gangster goon culture, whatever that you play, you are literally a walking black stereotype. If you were to look up Negroidian stereotype in the dictionary, Bussy picture pop right the fuck up on the internet. You Google Schmool, it's there. You don't really Google Schmool, I'm just saying, it's a joke. Go along with it. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I pay him no mind, but what really irks my soul is the fact that men like him or parents in general, how y'all do this to y'all kids. And you wonder why so many young LGBTQIA plus kids end up taking their own lives. Then they end up homeless. They're out in the street selling themselves to survive, doing drugs, all kinds of things. I've seen this throughout my childhood. Luckily enough for me, I never had to deal with that growing up, but I know many kids who have had this story of their parents not wanting to be gay because they worry about what their family thinks, their friends think, their church thinks. They put everybody else before their own damn children, who didn't even ask to be born, by the way. Being gay is just a part of the DNA. It's not some disease that we just pick up, but because we've seen this behavior from other people. So then I got to bring up also my girl Hope Duzelle, who said the following. She said, I wish I could say that this pain wasn't familiar, but it is. This pain is familiar to a lot of us in this chat. The idea that you spend all of this time hoping to be seen by somebody as a person who still needs and desires their protection through life, knowing that they see you as a nuisance. People like this show their true colors every day is not about children or protecting them. I truly wish her peace and the understanding that sometimes they simply just don't come around, and you have to be okay with that. Knowing that your value as a person doesn't come directly from their lack of the ability to love you as a child is about protecting the idea that you had in your head that they would be. I truly wish her peace and that understanding, and that sometimes they simply just don't come around, and you have to be okay with that. Knowing that your value as a person doesn't come direct. Okay, so I think that she started to repeat herself twice in that part. But yeah, it comes at a point where she said she was fed up. Says you just gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta protect your peace of mind. You can't worry about what these parents are. Sometimes these parents aren't gonna come around. They're gonna be set in their ways, and you gotta be okay with that. But here's the thing. Once that happens, you gotta be able to move on with your life, and you can't let their opinion affect you. You still got to go on and live your life, live your truth. At least you have a girl in your life who you've been with for a year that loves you and gives you the unconditional love. Sometimes, and this is one of the things I love about being a homosexual, is the fact that we create our own family. We've been notorious for that. When you look at, the voguing houses and the ballroom culture and how people within that community had to build their own families because they were ostracized, whatever the case is. So they get taken in and, birthed under the wing, all the other stuff. And they, the history of the balls. If you don't, there's many of documentaries and things out there for y'all to Google and look it up. But we as gay people, we get to choose our family, and we get to choose the life that we want to live and the people that we want to have ourselves around us. So if your blood ain't gonna be there for you, because all blood don't make all blood don't make you family. There's a lot of trash, trust and believe, that unfortunately you can't help you related to. So I wish this girl well. I'm gonna read a couple of this was a heavy video. This is really a heavy, deep video. This young lady is very intelligent, very articulate. I felt like she was very much spot on in how she just said what she needed to say. You had to give her moment. She had to take the time to really get her thoughts together. If you want to look at that entire clip, I am going to link it in the YouTube channel, because I also have it on my website, chrisavalon.com. But what I'll do is, when I'm done with the show, because I'm in the middle of the show now and I don't want to go ahead and do it, I'm actually, if during the playback, I'm gonna add the clip in there, I'm gonna add everything in there so that way y'all can watch the clip and see the whole video, because I want to play it, but them ass was working my root canal nerve. So yeah. So I say all this to say, shout out to this young lady, shout out to Miss Ivy. And you know what? Screw your father. Your father's trash, always been trash, never will be nothing in life. This is the way that he gets the attention. And I truly believe that something done happened to him when his ass was locked up, because nobody windmills this hard against homosexuality unless something done happen to you in jail and feeling like, oh yeah, I have a right to speak on, gay people, just like I have a right to speak on women. No, you don't. You do not have the right to speak on a gender that you are not. Who are you to determine what a woman should be, how a woman should act, what a woman should wear, and all that stuff? You don't have autonomy over other people's bodies. You don't have autonomy over women. You don't have autonomy over the gays. You don't have autonomy over anything. You have autonomy over yourself, but you don't have the right to come out here and tell people what they should and should not be doing. And you can give your opinion. That is true. Everybody has a right to their opinion. But guess what? Once you give that opinion, then I have a right to give mine. And what you going to hear come out of my mouth, you ain't going to like it. Because you don't get to just say what you want to say and everybody just sit back and just like, oh, okay, Bussy, right. You have a right to say what you want. I'm going to just take it all in. I'm going to just accept it because you're you. When it's like, what? Who are you, sir? Like nobody really knows you outside of the rants and dumb stuff that you say on social media. Child. Well, look, let's read 2 more comments and then I'm going to wrap this up. So one person said Carisha should not have asked this question jokingly, nor was she equipped to deal with this response. And that's what I always say about a lot of these people that go on these channels or these YouTube channels. We need people who have the actual bandwidth, you know, in the brain to combat what people say. Oh yeah, well, people grow, whatever. Like whatever her dumb ass said. I think her brain's been affected by that damn Tucci too that she was taking when she was, you know, up for days getting her back blown out, you know, at the expense of Diddy and that money he was paying her to take care of her little dusty bike behind. And then another person said, I can't stand this clown. She's a smart girl. At the end of the day, he has to mature. That ain't happening because the things he say causes trauma and hurt that sometimes can't be undone. He's bringing her friend around her siblings will not contaminate them. If they're not gay, they're not gay. But if they are, it's going to give them the courage to be who and what they are and not hide it. And that's what I say, like, shout out to those of y'all that feel brave enough to come out of the closet and live your life. And I feel like at this, you know, way back in the day, people like Bussy was not allowed to live in their truth, live in their life and all this stuff. Because Bussy in his 40s, he looked like he older than that, right? That's what hard living do. When you supposed to be 40, 41, but you look like you 60. And not the good 60. That's 60 of like, you've been smoking crack for years and that what that shit do to your skin. So that's what Bussy get. Bussy get hard living. And that's what hat'll do to you. Make you look like you lived a hard knock life. So I say all this to say, people stop giving this ninja a platform. We need to stop like giving him a platform. But this was definitely a conversation that we did talk about because I don't care about him. He can go get hit by 8 Mack trucks for all I care. But the fact of the matter was what he says and how people need to realize this homophobia, this anger, this hatred that y'all indoctrinate on your children. You thinking it's cute or whatever because you entertaining these hoes out here who ain't got no issue, who don't have to deal with this mess or whatever and entertained by the shenanigans. But you got to realize what you say affects your children. Like you got this girl name in your mouth. Keep her name out your damn mouth. And now she got to come out here and defend herself. Your cotton mouth, because that shouldn't be looking dry as hell. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. So, a homophobic raccoon. Okay, he do get them dark circles. That man is not the only one doing the bending. Oh, I'm sure he was doing the bending when he was in jail. Because remember that part when he was in prison, he was somebody that he saw the 2 men hunching in the shower. And based off the conversation, you was lingering a lot longer than you was probably lingering like that scene in the Dahmer movie, not the Dahmer movie, the Menendez brothers movie when you had Eric and Menendez in the shower with that black dude. That was probably you up in there. What is he even known for? It exactly. Like nobody listens to his music. He like Normani. They went triple wood. There's so many grifters today. Exactly. And I'm tired of the grifting. You know, we got Carisha grifting. We got him grifting. Everybody's grifting off of, you know, situations because that's the way they get attention and money. It's crazy how irrelevant and how much of a one-hit wonder Boosie was before he came. He came for Lil Nas X. He got, oh, hey, Onyx, you've been real. I was like, you must have just came in the room. I ain't hear from you the whole time. It was like, he went in after Lil Nas X. He went after Zaya Wade. He's gone after, like, anything that has to do with LGBT. Oh, I have to just give my opinion. Sir, nobody asks of your opinion. When people actually know who you are outside the chitlin circuit, then you can give your opinion on stuff. But for the most part, nobody knows you. White folks don't even know you. Unless they hood boogers like the fan base you pander to. She was clocking. He has a warrant issued in Austin and is to appear in court. Oh. Look at him out here running broke, and you over here worrying about who your child hunching. I'm screaming. He said, "Is that Azealia Banks without her wig?" And said he discussed it and so hateful for bringing his kid into the situation. He probably was Bussy. Okay, he was Bussy MadAzz in jail or badass. Not MadAzz. He mad now. But the Bussy was Bussying. But yeah, we need to cleanse our palate with that one. But I don't know how much of a palate we can cleanse with the next topic, because we got to talk about this new book that's coming out about Chester Bennington. I think it comes out on Tuesday. So that's why I was like, I definitely got to talk about this story today before, excuse me, that time comes around. So I was like, yeah, Linkin Park's been in the news a lot lately. You already know that we got a new iteration of Linkin Park. They got a new singer. It's a female. I didn't mind the fact that it was a female because I'm like, yeah, who else but a woman could bring that same type of emotion that Chester brought to a lot of those songs. But then the controversy happened because they found out she was a Scientologist. You already know how Scientology and all the other stuff, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in regards to Scientology. You've seen enough of them videos and them shows that Leah Remini's been around, the YouTube videos where they have ex-Scientologists who've been spilling all kinds of tea. They feel like she may not have been a good idea to add to the situation. Emily Armstrong is the girl's name. So, you know, there's been drama around that. And then there was some tea about apparently that, according to Chester's mother, because, you know, the mother and his son came out and was against the whole reiteration. Me personally, there have been many bands over the years. Linkin Park is not the first and only band to actually win a lead singer either dies or quits, that they don't find a new singer, and then times the band will actually exceed past the old band. In fact, some of the new singers make the band better. So I didn't mind the fact that Linkin Park decided to reinvent itself by bringing a new singer in. That's always bound to happen with a band. And so far, I don't know. I guess the people are liking it because I haven't heard anything in regards to like how well the tour has been doing that they've been doing. They added, I believe, 4 more dates to their world tour. So I guess they're doing great. I guess people are really excited for the new Linkin Park. I am curious to hear their new album that's coming out next month. But let's focus on Chester, who, you know, unalived himself at the age of, I believe, 41. So Linkin Park Chester Bennington faced an hour-by-hour battle with addiction in his final months before his self-unaliving at age 41 in 2017. This is according to a new book. So the book is called It Starts With One. I just had to sing that part. The Legend and Legacy of Linkin Park, out October 1st from Hatchet Books. Author Jason Lipschitz offers an in-depth look at the 20-year career of the rock band, including the tragic death of their frontman. That is so weird. Damn, time flies. I totally forgot that Linkin Park's been around for 2 decades. Because the first time I actually became aware of Linkin Park was from the Real World back from New York when Mike the Miz was on this. This is before he became Mr. WWE. This is when he wanted to be a wrestler. And he was on the Real World with Coral and the rest of them. Shout out to Coral. Where's she been? So, and then there was a scene where he actually goes to a Linkin Park concert, and that's when I first became aware of them. So I totally forgot that they've been around for that long. Time really flies. So they said Bennington died on July 20th of 2017 at age 41. The band held a tribute concert in October of that year and largely went on hiatus after that. Earlier this month, the band announced that they added Emily Armstrong of Dead Sarah as co-vocalist and Colin Britton as the drummer. They joined the lineup of Mike Shinoda, Brad Delson, Phoenix, and Joe Hahn. Now, days after his death, the band shared a letter dedicated to the late singer on social media, expressing their grief and heartbreak, saying, "Our hearts are broken. The shockwaves of grief and denial are still sweeping through our family as we come to grips with what has happened," is what the letter began by saying. So it goes on to say, "We're trying to remind ourselves that the demons who took you away from us were always a part of the deal. After all, it was the way you sang about those demons that made everyone fall in love with you in the first place." And this is why a lot of people have a problem with Emily Armstrong being a part of the band, because they feel like with Scientology, they do not believe in rehab. They do not believe in, you know, drug use, meaning prescription medication, mental health abuse, you know, trying to get help with your mental health, all that other stuff. So you have somebody that's a part of this situation that is against the very thing that Linkin Park sang about. So they're calling hypocrisy on that, especially with her being a part of that cult, because Scientology ain't no damn religion. You can't just go and start making up stuff based on some science fiction writer and then call it a religion just because y'all want a damn tax write-off. So yeah, the book that comes out, it actually describes what the months and days leading up to Bennington's death were like, with anecdotes from family and friends. So and basically in the book, they talk a lot about, a lot of things that were going on when they encountered him over the years, especially like his final days. So I do wonder that if they talked to his like mother and his son or whatever about, what had happened. Now I do have an excerpt from the book, and I'll read a bit of it. So it says, in the spring of 2017, as Mike was sitting next to Chester on a couch, he asked for the microphone that they had been sharing so that he could explain what kind of guy Chester was. They were in Berlin conducting an interview together during the One More Light promotional run, and Chester was talking about how he had to dig deep to overcome his struggles during the album's creation, about having just enough things to keep me wanting to go, he said. Mike wanted to give an example of what his friend was talking about, so when Chester passed him the mic and leaned back on the couch, Mike told the story of the time Chester broke his wrist on stage back before the shoulder that required surgery in 2011 and way before the busted ankle in 2015. Well, damn, he was just busting himself up. So this was in Melbourne on October of 2007, while Linkin Park were touring Australia in support of Minutes to Midnight, with Chris Cornell as their opening act. That night, Chester jumped off the top of the stage as the guitars kicked in on Paper Cut. His foot got caught. He landed awkwardly and his whole body slammed hard into the stage, but 2.5 seconds later, Chester sprang up like nothing had happened. By the time Mike started rapping the song's opening verse, Chester was bouncing around in front of the crowd. The band huddled minutes later. They were only 5 minutes into a 20-song set, and Chester was pretty certain that his wrist was broken. Mike and the guys presumed that they canceled the rest of the set, but Chester did not. He's like, well, it's going to be broken in an hour as it is right now. And this is what Mike recalled saying. And we were like, what? And he's like, yeah, I mean, let's just play. It effing hurts, but let's just play. And here's the thing, before I get to the rest of the story. This is what I love about my generation versus this generation. You break an arm, they like, oh my God, it's broken. I need to cancel show. We be seeing a lot of, Gen X, millennials, that sort of thing. They'll be up there with busted body parts, and they're like, you know what? It's only a 2-hour show. I can still get up here and give you a show. I know one time Michael Jackson was injured, and he still performed. And I forget which award show. I think it was the Grammys, the AMAs, VMAs, one of them. And he was in a chair. And he wanted to get up and do that choreography so bad, and he almost jumped up. And he's like, oh, wait, you got to remember, you got to stay in that chair. So they had to work the choreography around what he was doing. So I miss those days. Like, yeah, the show must go on at the end of the day. It's still going to be messed up by the time I get to the hospital, but let's just play. And then as soon as we're done, you could just rush me to the hospital. They could just wrap it up, put it back in place, whatever they say or whatever needs to be done, and then take it from there. It's like, these people paid all this money. Let's just get through it. And it's good that, you put in that circumstance people before your own situation. So he said that's simply who Chester is, was Mike's point. He was not going to let something as pesky as a broken wrist push him off that stage. He was going to overcome every new hurdle because that's what he had done his entire life. He's the kind of guy, Mike concluded, that's going to just power through anything. To the ones that knew him best in the world that had embraced his voice, Chester Bennington seemed indestructible, and then somehow he was gone. Now, on the morning of July 20th of 2017, Chester died by hanging in his Palo Verde's estate's home in L.A. County. The news felt incomprehensible when it broke online that afternoon, as if the thread of reality had unspooled. Chester was only 41 years old, and his spirit was the size of a skyscraper. He would have been halfway through his life, if even that. When the unconfirmed rumors became verified fact, the loss felt like a total, unfathomable gut punch. Shocked and heartbroken, Mike posted at 3:03 p.m. Eastern Time that day, but it's true. Chester's death stunned and shattered those closest to him, including his bandmates. The shockwaves of grief and denial are still sweeping through our family as we come to grips with what has happened, Linkin Park said in a joint statement a few days after Chester's passing. The individual messages in the immediate aftermath were considerably more raw. Heartbroken, Dave wrote on Twitter, while on Instagram, Joe posted a performance shot of Chester, a warm glow of light around his head, always shining. Joe wrote, I miss my friend. Mike had just seen Chester a few days earlier at a recording studio. Chester had introduced him to the indie rapper and poet Watsky after hyping up the artist for a while. Watsky had some of his friends left the studio, but Chester and Mike lingered together, spending a few hours talking, kicking around song ideas, game planning in their upcoming shows. It was nothing special or notable. It was just what they had always done. Now, in the days before his death, Chester had been in Arizona with Talinda and the kids, taking a family vacation at their cabin in Sedona, ahead of what was to be Linkin Park's sprawling North American tour in support of One More Light later that month. Chester traveled back to LA by himself. He said he needed to work, and the band had a photo shoot scheduled for the morning of the 20th. But before he left, Talinda snapped a photo of Chester and their children gazing into the woods off their deck, grinning from ear to ear. He was happy, she said in the early 2018 interview. He gave me a kiss goodbye. He gave the kids a kiss goodbye, and I never saw him again. Chester had been candid about his substance abuse issues during the making of One More Light, including an extended period of drinking in the second half of 2016. According to Talinda, Chester had been sober for almost 6 months prior to his death. In his final months, however, while publicly discussing his general difficulties with life during the One More Light press run, he was privately telling loved ones about a specific problem. The urge to drink had consumed his thoughts once again. He was describing an hour-by-hour battle with addiction, said Ryan Shuck, Chester's close friend, who had helped turn one of his bleakest periods during the 2000s into the Lone Dead by Sunrise album, and who had been texting with him about his alcoholism in the weeks leading up to his death. When an autopsy and toxicology report later confirmed that Chester had a trace amount of alcohol in his system at the time of his death, he had been discovered with an empty bottle of Stella Artois in the room, as well as a glass of Corona that was less than half full. Talinda was not surprised. She had immediately understood that those beer bottles represented our lapse. I knew instantly that the drink triggered that shame, she said, triggered a lifetime of unhealthy neural pathways. So there was a lot of things that he was going on with that he had like this dark period. And I could understand what that means when you're addicted to things. Sometimes you get that demon that gets in your head and it's like, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink. And then sometimes it gets so loud where it's like you want to shut it out. You're trying to talk to people. You're trying to get them, it's that cry for help. But are people actually hearing that cry, and are they trying to help you? But those demons consumed him. He finally gave in, and the shame of it all, because like, damn, I gave in after I worked so hard. And it happens. Like when you are someone who struggles with addiction, you're an addict for the rest of your life. You're always trying to fight to stay sober, to try not to allow those loud, dark voices to consume you. And he was trying so hard to fight it and he couldn't. So a lot of that shame probably came from, well, damn, that I took the drink, I feel ashamed, I don't deserve to live. And that's probably what triggered that. Also, what the article, the piece in the book said, that also Chris Cornell's unaliving, where he hung himself as well 2 months earlier, prior to Chester taking his own life, may have also played into him taking his life as well, because they were close friends. And they said both artists hanged themselves, and on July 20th would have been Chris's 53rd birthday. Now, Chris's death in May of 2017 devastated Chester, who had lost a childhood hero turned close companion, saying, "You have inspired me in ways that you could have never known." This is what he wrote to Chris in an open letter posted online after learning of his passing. "I can't imagine a world without you in it." The day after Chris's death happened to be the release date of One More Light, and Linkin Park were scheduled to perform a short set on Jimmy Kimmel Live that evening. Instead, an opening with lead single Heavy, the band played One More Light, and a visibly shaken Chester seated on a stool in a black suit, black shades covering his eyes, dedicated to the song to the friend he had lost less than 48 hours earlier. So I can also imagine that you actually using that moment Like your friend just passed away, and then you go and you sing a song on a show dedicated to him. So I could also imagine that he was just overwhelmed with emotion, and how that could also, people don't think about it, but how certain things, even though we think it's going to heal us in a lot of ways, and it may heal you as a viewer, it could be a trigger for other people as well, including Chester. It probably was like this low-key trigger, and he was just trying to push through it, especially when you're dedicating this song. And when you really think about One More Light and how that song has pretty much taken on a thing of its own, how people have pretty much adopted that song as like this anthem for people who struggle with addiction or whatever the case is. Maybe him singing that song a lot was his subliminal cry for help. Like, people aren't literally going to come out and say it. And I think a lot of times we need to check in on our strong friends. We shouldn't only check in on those who we think are the weak and going through some things. Sometimes those of us who look like we holding it together don't really have it together. So I feel like we as people need to check in on all our friends, regardless of what situation that they're in. So, they also said that he sang it at he sang Hallelujah, a tender version, at Chris Cornell's funeral at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in late May 2017. It was urged by Vicky Cornell, and with Brad accompanying him on guitar. The Kimmel performance of One More Light had been so cathartic that Chester felt more prepared to sing in front of Chris's family and friends. Hallelujah was Chester's all-time favorite song, and Chris had been friends with Jeff Buckley, so the performance felt like a fitting tribute. Afterward, Chester spoke with Chris's daughter Lily, who told him that she, her half-sister Tony, and their father would all regularly sing Hallelujah together. He said, "I didn't know that until after I performed it, but it turned out to be a very special moment." Now, following Chris's funeral, Chester seemingly moved forward. One More Light debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. The negative reviews and fan response had dulled the commercial power of the band's catchiest album in years, and Linkin Park headed to Europe in early June for a month-long victory lap. The fact that it debuted even beyond what we predicted is a great starting point, Brad said at the time, and now we got to bring those songs on the road and share them every night. So apparently, I guess the critics didn't care about the album, but the fans, and I guess the fans didn't particularly care for the album either, but they liked it enough to support it. And one of the things I actually like about Linkin Park, they really know how to make years old hits sound exciting and new, and they're always changing up. Now, I don't know how they're going to be able to do this, or if they've been doing it with the new rejustification of Linkin Park, especially with this new singer. But hopefully, I don't know. I just felt like with Chester there, they knew how to make it work, but we'll see if, they're able to make it work with, the girl. But anyway, so, it's a long article. I don't want to sit here and read all of it, but I want to give y'all just a taste of, what you could expect from the book. But I think that, wait, hold on. So, I'm gonna just read this final paragraph and then we can move on, because I had to scroll down. It was a lot to read them here. We'll probably be up in here for 30 minutes reading this. So this says, "One More Light was certainly filled with lyrical documents of Chester's struggle. From Nobody Can Save Me to Battle Symphony to Heavy. The latter was a pop radio hit at the time of Chester's death. His voice cracking on the hook, 'I'm holding on, why is everything so heavy?' Yet Chester had always turned his personal pain into lyrical inspiration. He turned crushing admissions from crawling in my skin, these wounds they will not heal, to I've become so numb I can't feel you there. To sometimes solutions aren't so simple, sometimes goodbye is the only way, to I've tried so hard to go so far, but in the end it doesn't really matter. Well, it doesn't even matter, I should say. Into widespread catharsis over the course of dozens of songs. Long before One More Light, he had never tried to hide the reality his words were steeped in. And I think that's what people loved about Linkin Park, is the fact that there was a lot of, you really felt like this was them, that, things that he was going through was being exercised through the music. So it says, "We're trying to remind ourselves," the band wrote to Chester following his death, "that the demons who took you away from us are always part of the deal. After all, it was the way you sang about those demons that made everyone fall in love with you in the first place. No one will ever really know why the darkness Chester battled his entire life consumed him on July 20th of 2017. The light that Chester exhibited in the prior weeks around family and friends, the strength that he demonstrated on stage, the musical endeavors that he was plotting, the answers he seemed to have found, they all waged war against years of deep-seated trauma. Struggles with addiction, physical injury, severe depression. The belief that certain factors definitively contributed to his death or that musical decisions served as warning signs suggests an unrealistic cause and effect, a logic that didn't exist. There are no easy answers, and there never will be. So if you guys are interested in getting your hands on this book, it starts with one by Jason Lipschitz, and it comes out on October 1st. It is available for pre-order wherever books are sold, and it is definitely something that I'm like, okay, I definitely would love to read this book and see what is it y'all give it. So yeah, that was definitely a lot. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. You said between him and Azealia Banks, nobody has asked for their opinion, but here they come with their uneducated research opinions, not realizing there's a version of Smaba. There is. And so I know a Gen X that broke his arm during sex. Well, damn, what the hell was he doing? Kama Sutra? He was in pain, but went to the hospital after he busted his 25-day load. And his boy toys Bussy. Ooh, a mess. Don't tell me because you were Gen X and your bones are starting to, give out. You better start drinking that milk. You need the calcium in the morns. Okay, so let us move on because we'll go from one rock group to another. There's more details that we have on this whole Perry Farrell fight that happened behind the scenes, on stage, but more transpired behind the scenes of that fight with Jane's Addiction, according to someone that worked on the show. It's spilling tea. So Dan Cleary, who was one of the crew members who helped end the fight between Perry Farrell and Dave Navarro, spilled some backstage tea in a podcast shared with Todd Newman, Navarro's best friend of nearly 30 years. So for alarmed Jane's Addiction fans who've been wondering what was really going on before, during and after the fateful Boston concert that saw the veteran group effectively break up mid-song, more details are emerging. The latest revelations includes an allegation that Perry Farrell took yet another swing at Dave Navarro after all the band members were backstage, and unlike the near-miss seen by millions around the world on video, this time the singer's fist connected with the guitarist's face. The literally blow-by-blow account that went down is part of a highly detailed 90-minute podcast conversation between Dan Cleary, the group's guitar and bass tech of 17 years, and Todd Newman, a friend of Navarro's for 30 years, whom the guitarist has called his best friend. Cleary is among those who was captured on fan video trying to contain Farrell's anger and break up the fight. Now, in the podcast, Cleary and Newman expressed sympathy for Farrell, and the tech says he even got a cordial goodbye text from the singer. After the reunion tour came to a sudden halt, but they clearly have the backs of the other three members after the fracas that everyone involved seems to believe has ended Jane's Addiction for good. The podcast, now on YouTube, is episode #313 of Rare Form Radio, and as a fascinating exploration of the tensions that can tear a group apart, is certain to be listed to a lot more than the previous 312 episodes combined. It includes excerpts from the audio feed from the fateful Friday the 13th. Child, that's what it was. It was Friday the 13th. It's cursed. So Friday the 13th show, first of Farrell seeming to sing out of time from the rest of the band. Well, I was going to say, wouldn't it be out of tune? Well, he was out of tune, and then the band was playing, and then he's singing off he's not in sync with them playing. And then of the confrontation between band members on and off stage, while listeners will sometimes have to take for granted that Cleary is offering an accurate description of what went down, audio of the after-show confrontation apparently has the singer complaining to his wife, Eddie Lau Farrell, that other members were trying to fuck my show up. This is what he said. Navarro, who has been shoved and then had a punch thrown at him on stage, then appears to say to Farrell, "What the F was that, you mother effer?" The sounds of a scuffle was subsequently heard that clearly describes as Perry punching Dave, and that one he actually connected with. You can hear it, the right hand to the left side of Dave's face. The narrative told by Cleary, and to lesser extent Newman, who did not attend the Boston show but heard about it from Navarro, goes all the way back from the first night of the U.S. tour. They both tell how Farrell quit the band before the opening show in Las Vegas, even as fans were starting to come in for the gig, only to be talked into going on with the show at the last minute. Management earned their keep that day, says Cleary. Now, throughout the conversation, Cleary and Newman say that they were compelled to speak up in response to Eddie Lau Farrell, saying that the incident happened because her husband had finally reached his breaking point, maintaining that in their view, Perry Farrell was already at a breaking point on day one of the North American tour, but they also add that when everything was clicking and when Farrell was sober-ish, the group was doing some of the best shows in its history, even if in calamitous appearances in Tampa, New York, and finally Boston, they ended up doing 3 of the worst. Oh, well, damn, they said in Tampa, Florida, New York City, and Boston, that was a mess. Well, I'm glad they ain't perform at the Garden. That would have been embarrassing. Not at the world's most famous arena. Variety had reached out to the rep for Farrell to see if he wishes to respond to the podcast account of the band's last weeks. Now, Cleary says that before the initial European leg of the tour, which found the original 4 members coming together for the first time in 14 years, they had agreed to proceed as a democracy. And one of those democratic decisions at the time was that we just want to be 4 guys on stage. No backup singers, no dancers, none of that. Old school music speaks for itself. Well, maybe you needed some backup singers to help Farrell with them vocals. But as far as like all the other pomp and circumstance, yeah, keep it old school. And first of all, who said that having backup singers isn't old school? I mean, you need the support of the musicians when you're up there. So I don't understand why they're sitting up there saying that y'all didn't want to have backup singers, but whatever, that's y'all show. Let's go along with it. So that some previous tours found the band's name had not included all the original players, had utilized Eddie Lau Farrell and other dancers on stage, but the singer went along with the other musicians' wishes to not include the element. But before the U.S. leg of the tour, the subject came up again, now with the possibility of having the dancers on video, with the rest of the band nixed. The other members commissioned some non-dancing video content, which Farrell turned down. In his account, Farrell, who had allegedly not attended rehearsals, showed up a few hours before the start of the Las Vegas opener with video content that he had filmed of Eddie and I think some other women in the desert dancing. No dancers on the stage. But now you want to put them behind us dancing? It's kind of the same thing. It's 2024. It's a bit of a different time, having scantily clad chicks on stage or on video. I don't think it's as empowering as maybe the Farrells might think it is. The Farrells sort of couldn't let go of this thing to the point that before the first show, Perry quit the band. So basically trying to say that he wanted to incorporate, first of all, his ass ain't show up to no damn rehearsals. So you just gonna show up singing or sounding any kind of way, and then we supposed to just do the show? I mean, we'll fake it and we'll, because the show must go on. And then you out here filming content and thinking we're just going to put it up in the show. And they're looking at it like, I don't think this is going to work. And you're getting a whole attitude because you got ideas that the other band doesn't agree with. So you're going to throw a temper tantrum. Now, they said, according to Newman, they don't want to disappoint the fans. And they were a few hours away from showtime. So they collectively decided, well, we should just go and play anyway. And ideas were being thrown out. Like, do we know any people who would know the songs that are in Vegas? Or do we play instrumentally and say, if you know the words, sing along? We're having a problem with our lead singer? I know. It's just like they didn't even know if they were going to go on, but they were willing to play, the band. But the people that are there to see a show, they're not there to do karaoke. Because I'll say this. There was one time I was saying there was a show that was happening. And they're like, oh, sing along if you know the word. First of all, this is not a karaoke session. If I'm getting up there and these people are paying all their money for these tickets to see a show, give me a show. If you want to sing along with me singing, go ahead. I'm not going to be like Kim Burrell, be like, oh, no, I'm the singer. So y'all need to shut up and let me sing. If y'all want to sing along with me while I'm singing them hits, then go along with it. But you're not going to have the audience just jump in and sing them songs because your lead singer wants to be, a mess. So, what else I wanted to? Oh, so they basically said the show went on, but Cleary says that from that point, Perry did kind of pull away from his bandmates, and there was no joyful interactions, no talk. But even after the kind of weirdness, the band did continue to support Perry through their entire tour. If there was ever parts where he wasn't quite sure what part of the song they were in, they would go and say, "Here we are." If he had a great show, they were the first people to be like, "That was effing awesome. You're amazing." There was some talk of the fight that ended up happening in Boston. So he's pretty much, it just seemed like to me, he's going back and forth. He's up in there with the attitude, the temper tantrum, all this other stuff, and everybody else is walking on eggshells trying to accommodate him. This is the perception. And they said the 3 word shows, the man was clearly effed up, and we knew it from the moment we saw him early in the day. Which is what Cleary says. He's referring to a widely circulated horrific review by the critic of an apparently woeful Tampa show. An article he says was tough, but also kind of spot on, saying that the show was like, "Holy ish, call the police, there's been a murder." Then he got to the first 2 shows in New York City, which instantly became buzzy on social media as a disaster. The first show was the worst show I've ever seen in my life. I'm not saying just with James. It was the worst show I've ever seen. He didn't know where he was in the songs. He didn't know the words. He was singing words from other songs. These are not sound issues. And also, he had a bunch of fantastic shows throughout the tour. The sound doesn't change. We're the same all the time. So you're just not taking accountability for, all the stuff that you're doing. But then let's get to the Boston show, because this is a lot, and I just want to get to the Boston show, how it all, pretty much just blew up. I was like, damn, I lost my... Okay, I got it. So it said, next up was Boston, with Cleary offering a still more detailed account. He notices there is a fan video going around of an earlier point in the show in which Navarro taps Farrell on the arm, and what he's doing is he's saying, "I'm going to take my solo again because you just sang over it a minute ago, and I stopped because you don't know where you're at." At another point in the text account, Farrell saw Navarro, bassist Eric Avery, and drummer Stephen Perkins huddling about how to proceed. And in his mind, I think there's some sort of paranoia going on there. Well, that's what drugs will do to you. And it sucks because these guys just want to have a great show, all 4 of them. And they probably feel like with Perry, we can't get through to him. We can't talk to him because we don't know, if he's going to spaz out or not. So the other band members who were in lockstep and in sync and know what the hell they're doing, because this F over here is not showing up for rehearsals, we're going to huddle and we're going to figure out how to make this work. It would be nice if we could incorporate him in there, but I don't know if you're going to spaz out or not. So now you over in the corner all paranoid. Oh, they talking about me. Oh, they transpiring against me. So I can see how that looks. So it said, if Perry has a rough night, they're not happy. They want him to kick ass every night. Farrell thinks they're talking about him, which they are, but not in the way he thinks. They're trying to figure out how to fix this stuff, so he goes over and starts screaming lyrics at them, which was just strange. Now, during Oceansides, for the history of the band, it all fell apart in this moment. Perry is getting angrier, and it's almost like when someone becomes a werewolf. The podcaster then plays a soundbite of Farrell allegedly saying, "F these mother effers, F them," or F him, before he body slams the guitarist. "I'm tuning a guitar when I see the push. Guitar comes right off, and I make a beeline for both of these guys, and here he is, and here is where it gets real sad. Cleary becomes emotional and recounting the incident, relating it to times when he had to physically defend his mother and his sister growing up, probably from their father. He said, "I love David and felt like seeing a little kid getting bullied on the schoolyard for something he didn't do. And he's been through enough ish in his life and worked so hard to get back to this point. To see this happen just triggers something in me. I'm not going to let that happen to this guy." Eric had the same feeling. The guitar tech also wonders aloud why Farrell went after Navarro, who has famously fought back from long COVID and other health issues rather than the other two members. So Cleary also describes how Avery got Perry in a headlock while the singer was still flailing away, and the bassist got in 2 body shots to the stomach. Well, look, he admitted that somebody did get a couple of licks because they tired of his mess. And then it said in her account, Eddie Lau Farrell had counted it as 3. Well, he said 2, she said 3. Tomato, tomato. It don't matter. Somebody got hit. The reality is the stomach punch did happen. So it don't matter how many times the person was hit. The fact of the matter is it happened. So they also said that Eddie Lau had counted as 3, calling Avery's action a cheap shot when in her mind her husband had already been disarmed. I didn't know how to get his attention. I had to get his attention to get him to try to stop him from going towards Dave again. Cleary describes their actions as being like clowns at a rodeo, trying to divert Perry's attention from Dave. To Farrell's wife, Cleary says, and even if Eric had kicked Perry's effing ass, it's not a cheap shot. He knows that he exchanged texts with Eddie after the incident and said he wrote her back. Eric had what I wanted to do. Eric did what I wanted to do, and he wasn't trying to hurt him. We were all trying to protect Dave, and also your husband threw the first and the last punch of the night. So yeah, why you not calling him out? Because she fucking him? Again, Cleary says, I want people to understand it didn't end there. He plays the audio of Farrell backstage being consoled, and eventually Dave walks up to ask what the F happened, and Perry punches him again. So any of this talk of cheap shots, but I feel for him because something is going on mentally. He looked crazed. Says Cleary, I enjoy Perry. I've had great talks with him. He sent me a beautiful text the other day, basically a I miss you kind of text. He's a good dude most of the time, and then there's times where it's kind of this. But we've never seen this crazed version before, which is what makes it so scary. Newman shares Navarro's point of view, saying, I was having a conversation with Dave that just reminded me of that, talking about the footage. He says to me, you see where I'm playing, and then I kind of put my hand out after he kind of body checks me, and then he throws that punch. And you see the look of shock on my face. And Dave was saying, it's weird because I wasn't shocked by the body that he body checked me. He wasn't shocked that he threw a punch at him. He was shocked by the look in Perry's eyes that he had never seen before. Like I was seeing something demonic going on, and that's where the shot look from Dave came from. So that's basically all of what they were saying. And they also want to point out that no one is trying to villainize Perry Farrell, saying that this is what he did and the band is done, and they really hope that they can figure things out and make it work. And they do feel that Perry's apology on Instagram was heartfelt. And if he could take the situation back, I'm sure he would. But I feel like at this point, there is no coming back from this. And I just think it's probably the end of the band. And it's unfortunate that y'all just left all this money on the table because of whatever underlining issues that have been festering in Perry and probably his frustrations with the band and vice versa. But as men, they could not come together and communicate and sit down and just talk out whatever issues that y'all are having. And I understand your wife is your wife, but it seemed like she enabling a lot of the mess too. So it's unfortunate they can't make this work. You already know the other band members, they'll always find something to do. They'll find a band they could be a part of and play their gigs and make their money. But it's sad that this is where the band is. So I say all this to say, because I know that was a lot, because it was a lot I had to break down so y'all can get the nuances of what was going on with the band and get it, from their side. And if you want to check out the video, it's on YouTube. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. He said Navarro still got that. Okay. 25-day load. Oh, yeah, that damn show is. I'm like, 25-day load? Who's holding that back that much semen? That remind me of that scene in, what's that movie? With Chris Evans? Or was it Scream? Pretty scary movie when they ejaculated and it went up in the ceiling and it basically just sucked them dry. That's what that would probably remind me of. If somebody had a 25-day load all saved up. Child, let's get to this mess and let's talk about Ryan Murphy trifling behind another damn grifter. So Ryan Murphy, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this Lyle and Eric Menendez monster series that is currently on Netflix. It's a lot of mixed reviews. Some people are feeling the ways about it. Some people thought it was good. Some people feel like Ryan Murphy is trash and an opportunist and using these kids for clout or whatever the case is. But Ryan Murphy running around here talking about that his little movie, his little series over on Netflix is the best thing to happen to, the Menendez brothers in the 3 decades they've been behind bars. So I want to give a shout out to Variety for this tea. So Ryan Murphy is pushing back. We already talked about this the other day against members of Lyle and Eric Menendez's family who, slammed Netflix's monster Lyle and Eric Menendez story as a grotesque shock drama. But that's pretty much what it is. He said the family's response is predictable at best. This is what Murphy said just hours after the family statement was released on social media via Eric's wife, Tammy. I find it interesting because I would like specifics about what they think is shocking or not shocking. It's not like we're making any of this stuff up. It's all been presented before. What we're doing is we're the first to present it in one contaminated, well, it is kind of contaminated, in one contained ecosystem. What's grotesque about it? Tammy and the family, they have always done this, and they did this recently. They say lies after lies, but then they don't say what the lies are. They don't back up anything. Well, there's a point to that. It's sort of like, okay, so now these people are out here writing this stuff, but if someone's saying, oh, it's all blatant lies, I don't like blanket statements. I feel like if you're going to come in and you're going to go and say somebody's lying about whatever, you need to be specific, in regards of what parts of the show is not true. Because I'm sure, look, Ryan Murphy, this ain't your first time at the rodeo. You already went through this when you came out with your previous season of Monsters with the Jeffrey Dahmer situation. How the family members say you didn't contact them, how you was having them relive their traumas, and you were creating narratives that were false. We've been here already. We've been here many a times with you. So stop trying to act like that you all of a sudden a damn victim in this situation. But I do agree with you on the fact of, okay, so what parts of the docuseries, not docuseries, the scripted series based on a true story is the truth and not true? And first of all, I don't think the wife of anybody could speak on anything because neither wife or family member was there. The only people that could speak on what happened was the 4 people in that room, and 2 of them are already gone. And that would be the parents, Jose and Kitty, who the sons took their lives because of alleged abuse and all the other things that was going on. And a lot of people believe the essay, that the father was doing to the sons because, remember, he had Menudo up under him. And the rumor was that he was SAing some of the members of Menudo. And there's even a scene in the show where he talks about, like, okay, now what if the boys start asking for more money and whatever the case is? Well, we fire them and we replace them. When they start to age out, we fire them and replace them because we want to keep Menudo forever young. Forever young, I want to be forever young. Remember that song? Do you really want to live forever? Okay, let's move on. So yeah, there's that. But like I said, specifics. So the Menendez brothers are currently serving life sentences without the possibility for parole for first-degree red rum of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. In 1989, the series dramatizes the killings and the subsequent trials that ended in their conviction in 1996. Yeah, so they spent 7 years in prison, but not necessarily, because there was a period where they wasn't in jail until, they started running off with the mouth. They had the recordings. Then they had to turn over the recordings because they was confided. They confessed to the murder to their therapist. And then Judalon went and snitched. That old crazy lady. Shout out to the actress that played Judalon. I always liked her. I loved her ever since she played Mary Cherry in Popular. Ooh, excuse me. So yeah, there's that. And then here go the cast, along with the 2 sons. You got Javier Bardem fine behind her. You got my girl Chloe Sevigny. They definitely did their damn thing in that part. So Murphy also shares that he believes Monsters is, and here's the quote that had me gagged. He said Monsters is the best thing that has happened to the Menendez brothers in 30 years. Now, if that ain't a sassy comment, I don't know what it is. They are now being talked about by millions of people all over the world. There's a documentary coming out in 2 weeks about them, also on Netflix. And I think the interesting thing about it is it's asking people to answer the questions. Should they get a new trial? Should they be let out of jail? What happens in our society? Should people be locked away for life? Is there no chance ever at rehabilitation? I'm interested in that. Excuse me. And a lot of people are talking about it. We're asking really difficult questions, and it's giving these brothers another trial in the court of public opinion. But what I can tell, it's really open up the possibility that this evidence that they claim that they have may be that there is going to be a way forward for them. And I actually think, you know what, in that part, I'm going to agree with him again. I do think that the docuseries or the series asks the question, should they get a new trial? And should they be let out of jail? They've been in jail for over 3 decades. And should they be open up for a new trial? If there is evidence there, and I feel like because of the times, especially in the 90s, where people look down on the fact that boys could possibly be sexually abused, and then the fact you have to also think about that their frontal lobes hadn't developed yet. Boys' frontal lobes do not fully develop into men until they're about 25. So they were, what? Young adult teenagers, like early 20s, late teens, when they did what they did. So when you have people, why did they go to the police? Why did they do this? Why did they do? You really think the police is going to help, especially when a man of Jose Menendez's attributes, the amount of money he has, the amount of power, a lot of that talks. Y'all be thinking like the police are really out here in certain situations ready to protect and serve? It's not as easy as y'all think. Oh, I can just call the cops and they're going to save me. That's not how it works. Like, some of us live in reality. So how could they go to the police? Was it premeditated? All these things. So I do agree, like, maybe, you know, this is an opportunity for them. I'm glad that you are the catalyst. You put the need forward. You are the springboard, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that have gotten people thinking and talking. Oh, so yeah, since the Menendez brothers are alive, there should be an opportunity for them to be like, let's reopen the case. Let's look at the stuff. And that final episode of the season when you had the judge and that other attorney who was on that's Grey's Anatomy spinoff. I can't remember. I remember him from that show, and he was on a bunch of other shows too. The attorney that was going against the Menendez brothers, giving a full-on monologue. He was working hard for his Emmy nomination in that scene. I don't know why I want to say, was it Private Practice? No, it wasn't Private Practice. What was the name of that damn show that was a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy with Addison? When she had her own show. Was it Private Practice? I don't know. I think that probably was the name of the show. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The actor from that was the attorney. And it seemed like they already had their mind made up. And they were really trying to make sure them brothers went to jail because the flip-flopping, the things were changing. They were trying to sexual abuse angle. They didn't want to buy into it. So they were trying to push this narrative like, okay, so that's a hung jury, a mistrial, whatever the case is. And then you had Loud messing up yet again. And then why we had the whole new trial? Because he couldn't keep his damn mouth closed. That's what bragging does to you. So he also says that he believes that the trial was held today, the brothers may have gotten a lesser charge of manslaughter and a lighter sentence. The second trial was a travesty. And that's exactly what I was talking about, is that second trial that got them put away. The first trial was good. The first trial was on point. The first trial would have gotten them off. But I feel like it was too much going on at that time, especially with the OJ trial. Then you had the Rodney King riots. It was too much going on. So somebody had to roll. But I do think that that second trial was a joke. They should not have been put in jail for 2 life sentences. So they gave them a choice. It was either 2 life sentences or they would have to be sentenced to death. He also said, I think it's insane that all the evidence that they claim really happened was not allowed to be admissible. That's a mistake. I think the behavior of those male jurors is an outrage. I think a lot of those jurors were homophobic. I think they refuse to accept the idea that sexual abuse could happen to men. I think that's outrageous. So what do I think? I think that if there's new evidence, yes, it should be heard. I also personally do not believe that someone should spend their entire life in prison. Well, it depends on the person. Like, if you're a full-on Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein type, no, yes, you need to be put under the jail. But prison is supposed to be it's supposed to be about rehabilitating the people. So that when they go out into the real world, they're not the person they went in as. But don't even get me started on the system and how it has become this big financial situation where they make money off of these people being in jail. Prison is the new slavery. So we can unpack all that in another show. Now, Cooper Koch, who I actually have a story on after this, who played Eric, exclusively told Variety that he spoke to the real Eric for the first time on the night before the series premiered on Netflix. About a week later, he met Eric and Lyle when he joined Kim Kardashian for a visit to their prison to talk to inmates about prison reform. Unlike Koch, Murphy says he has never reached out to the brothers and says, I have no interest in talking to them. It's very good that Cooper has a relationship with them, and I'm very close. Obviously, with Kim Kardashian, who has spoken to them, I love Kim, and I believe, well, of course you love Kim, because you keep putting on your damn shows. And I believe she does. He said, I believe she does God's work. Okay, so now the Harriet Tubman of the prison reform, all of a sudden she doing God's work. All right, daughter. I believe in everything she believes in. I don't know what I would say to them. What would I ask them? I know what their perspective is. Well, maybe, as somebody who's going in and doing research and stuff, instead of reading Dominic Dunn book and all these other things and getting your information based over that type of research from other people who wrote books and benefited financially from the Menendez brothers, I would think I would want to go to the horse's mouth and get an essence and an idea of who these guys are, and then incorporate that into the script, as well as, because you've met them, when you're directing your actors, you're getting the different nuances of how they came across in certain things, certain facial movements, eye twitching, the movement of their neck, the body language and stuff. Like, I would be taking all that in as someone who's doing extensive research on, the people that I'm doing a story on. So I don't understand why he talking about, I wouldn't do it. Maybe you were just too scared to go up in there and talk to them. Because you probably think like, they're not going to give you permission. But I guess, once the world has autonomy of their story, you don't need to go through the Menendez brothers to write about them. But if this is how they feel that their story is not accurate according to you, I do think that you should honor and respect that, because that's what they're saying. And they say, well, they need to watch the show in order. You ain't even see the show. So how you going to sit up here and say you don't like something, but you didn't watch it? Maybe you need to watch it before you go in and give your comment. The hell, I need to watch something I already lived through in real time. Like, I don't need to watch a fabricated Lifetime movie of the week version of what I did to my parents. I lived it. I live it every night when I close my eyes and when I wake up. Or maybe it's gotten to the point they're so used to it, they probably don't even think about the situation anymore. I don't know. When people's minds get a certain way, they get used to things. So while I do agree with some of the stuff that he said, I have to say the absolute gall and arrogance of this man who thinks he has the nerve to say that, his fabricated series is the best thing that happened to the Menendez brothers. So I do get, all the other stuff up in there. We say, it's the best thing ever. You need to be grateful. That's the way it comes across in your delivery. But I don't know. I just feel like you just need to be upfront and to me, if I'm gonna write something about somebody, if they're alive, I want to at least get their information or to get a sense of who they are before I go creating a whole series around, stuff and then just throwing things up in there for fantasy. Because he likes to blur that line where he'll create something and then incorporate real life people up into the situation. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, whether it's, the Menendez brothers or Ryan Murphy and the arrogance of it all, throw it down in the comments below. So that it damn sure was. It was too much incestuous stuff that was going on in, that series in regards to the sex and all the other stuff. Now, speaking of incest, since you was talking about there's too many corny things that was going on, Cooper Koch, who we was talking about prior to when we were talking about the whole Ryan Murphy situation, is opening up about the incestuous homoerotic controversy that surrounded the show. Now, Cooper Koch is a cutie. And I have to say, like, the brother that he was playing, Eric Menendez, he was a cutie too. So let me pull this picture of Cooper. There was another picture that I saw on Twitter, but I couldn't post that one because it was him with his legs spread. He had on like these tighty whities. I said, y'all not gonna have me get in trouble. Because I know one time I posted a picture and they were like, you can't put that picture up there. I forget who. Oh, it was Diego Barros, and it was like, that picture is too much. Even though it was kind of a conservative photo, so I had to take the safe route and just do a shirtless one. But anyway, let's get into Cooper. So shout out to Out Magazine for this story. Because they said Cooper Koch, the out gay actor who played Eric Menendez in the hit Netflix series, has now chimed in on the suggestion that there was an incestuous relationship between the two siblings, Koch explained via Variety. So I knew that this was a very controversial story and that people were going to be upset and affected by what they were seeing. I think, though, you do have to put it into the context of the situation and that we're sort of painting a picture based on what somebody else's perspective was. It's not necessarily the truth of what happened. It's just what Dominic Dunn thinks. And there, I think, are other places in the story where it's sort of planted to give people all these different perspectives and, you know. And so overall, though, Koch noted that he absolutely does not think that the Menendez brothers had a sexual relationship between them, adding, I do not think that's true, and I don't think it was intended by the show to make or break the truth. I think that was just a theory that one person had and that got put into the show because the person was a character in the show. I stand with Eric in everything that he says in his testimony. I believe to be his truth, and I believe him. And so he also expressed some sympathy for the real life Eric Menendez and supported by Variety. Koch said, Eric's reaction definitely affected me and it made me feel things. I sympathize with him. I empathize with him. I get it. I understand how difficult it would be to have the worst part of your life be televised for millions of people to see. It's so exposing. I understand how he feels and I stand by him. He continued by saying, in terms of approaching him and approaching the part, I just really wanted to do as much research and dig really deep into myself to really portray him with integrity and just be as authentic as possible to support him and also to support his family and all the people that stand with him. So, as I was saying before, with the whole thing regarding with Ryan Murphy, about, oh yeah, I don't want to go and visit him. And what are we going to talk about? So I was like, well, you're writing a 9-episode series based on the Menendez brothers. I would think that the first thing anybody would want to do is go visit the people in prison just to get an essence of who they are and not go based off of what's written on a page and other people's perspectives who were there at the time and is having and giving opinions on things, but weren't necessarily in the room when all this other stuff happened. So you're basically you created your whole series based on hearsay rather than actually adding the extra icing on the cake, meeting up with the Menendez brothers and getting to know and understand where they're coming from and their point of view so that way you can incorporate that into the series. So yeah, it is common practice for actors, writers, and creatives in general to embody all of the feelings attached to characters whose stories they're telling. So, I can understand like why Cooper basically has empathy and sympathy for a person that he's playing because this is a real life person. And I definitely feel like the scenes where he was crying and revealing some of the stuff that was going on in his personal life to the attorney when he was in jail, especially when his father did him and all this other stuff, that was a gut-wrenching scene, and he acted his ass off in that. And Nicholas Chavez, who played Lyle, shared a similar feeling in recent interviews, saying that it must be incredibly difficult to see some of the most painful moments of your life being portrayed on television because we're not going through all of this. Everybody else is going through it. So, excuse me. So, we're just like the voyeurs, just sitting there watching what's going on, and we're just, it's all like we're just taking it in. But I can only imagine what, the most intimate or the most painful moment of your life is being projected on TV for our entertainment. So, the thing about people saying it's interesting that he issued a statement without having seen the show, I don't feel like they need to watch something if they lived it. So I'm definitely at least somebody on that damn team or on that and part of that show has some kind of empathy. And so if y'all care, if you haven't seen it yet, it is on Netflix if y'all want to check it out. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are y'all here for what Cooper had to say? And have you seen, you know, this Monsters series, whatever the case was? And I know they were sitting over here talking about like the homoerotic incest stuff. He doesn't think it happened. It's based off of something that Dominic done a theory of his. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the father was abusing them, and they did kind of find comfort and solace in each other by there being some incestuous type of relationship. And that was a way for them, you know, it's some deep rooted, whatever the case is, like it's a way of protection and love for one another because of what their father did to them. So it's sort of like there's something of survival. I don't know. I'm just trying to dig deep and try to understand if it did happen, where that comes from. But when you see stuff like that, it's like people aren't going to get the nuances on top of it. You literally have to explain some of the things to some people, because even in the show, Dominic does imply that he feels like there was some of that there. And maybe the way it was projected on screen, people didn't catch it. So they automatically felt that, oh, y'all just trying to say that these two was hunching, when it was just a theory from Dominic Dunn. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, so now let's move on to this Azealia Banks Madonna story, because, you know, everybody's trying me on social media with this one and feel like I'm just being a biased Madonna fan. And it's like, that's not how I work. And like I said many a times, I don't care who the celebrity is. If there's something that goes down with them, if Madonna did something ridiculous and stupid, I'm definitely going to call her out on her mess. But what we're not going to do is try to just dismiss Madonna's impact on pop culture, especially in the way a lot of women in this generation and my generation and other generations, because, you know, we have the Gen Z, we have the millennials, even Gen X, how Madonna has inspired a lot of people of those generations in the way she does music, her sexuality in music, and how, you know, she is the blueprint for a lot of the way that people put on tours. So on September 25th, Katy Perry appeared on an Australian talk show called The Project and opened up about Madonna's influence on her career, saying she's the greatest. She paved the way. Every person, when you talk about me reaching out to younger artists, every female still needs to continue to say thank you to her because she is breaking down barriers. I'm 40. I still get to do music because of Madonna. And the funny thing was, of course, people went and took what she said into a whole other thing. Maybe Katy did not articulate what she said perfectly. And I will agree with that. She didn't articulate it, because when you go every female, you open up Pandora's box for people to start digging up people that came out that were making music, you know, in 1949. Y'all want to bring them in, oh, before Madonna was born. Y'all want to bring these people into the conversation. So of course, Azealia Banks done took the social media. Her no one hit one to have an ass. Went on social media. Yeah, she has no hits. Even 212 is not a hit. As much as that song was circulating up in the clubs. Took to social media and wasted no time discrediting the Queen of Pop's impactful stamps on pop culture. And said the following: Grace Jones, Little Kim, Beyonce, Whitney Houston, Shaka Khan, Tina Marie, Shaka Khan, Tina Marie, Celine Dion, Bjork, Missy Elliott, Toni Braxton, Spice, and I'm thinking Spice is the Jamaican chick that's on Love and Hip Hop, Eve, and especially Janet Jackson, Oh Madonna Nothing. Which y'all don't start your mess, because I did see some things about, you know what, you can say what you want about a lot of these artists. Not Grace Jones. Grace Jones is in a class by herself, so we can take her out of that. Little Kim has said she has been inspired by Madonna. There have been many interviews regarding that. Beyonce literally just gave Madonna her flowers during the Renaissance tour. They're even on a remix together of Break My Soul, which is a Break My Soul Vogue mashup. Whitney Houston, are we comparing vocals? Like, you need to be specific in the names that you mentioned. We're not going to talk about that. But in regards of like the type of music Whitney was doing, and y'all was at one point trying to cancel her because y'all felt like she was a sellout to the Black audience, doing her poppier songs, you know, I Want to Dance with Somebody and all those type of songs. That was more of like the uppity, poppy type of dance music that Madonna was doing in the 80s. So, whereas they may not have been, if we talk about singing like her, whatever, the influence is there. The type of music that people were doing is a part of it. Now, Missy Elliott has been inspired by Michael and Janet, and I'm sure she was inspired by Madonna in regards to like the extravagant way that she would create her music videos and the whole music video concept, which is another thing that Madonna was a pioneer of. Her and Michael Jackson were the only two that I know that were the ones. She was the female side, he was the male side, that will come up with these crazy concepts in regards to like music videos and the stage performance. Now, Janet Jackson did do some things in there that I believe she was inspired by Madonna with. There was even a recent picture that I had posted of the whole Vivienne Westwood look that Madonna did 20 years ago during her reinvention tour. And Janet is walking around doing it on her current tour. So, yeah, so she wasn't the only one who took an issue with what Katie said, as others took to Twitter to weigh in on her comment. So one person said, yeah, but Katie is delusional, and posted a picture of Beyonce cackling. Another one said, in reality, they need to be thanking Donna Summer. An ex-user stated Donna Summer deserved to be thanked in place of Madonna. Someone also said, add Roxanne Shante, Mia X, Phyllis Hyman, Patti LaBelle, Diana Ross, Patrice Rushen, Angela Winbush, Cheryl Ladd, Angela Why y'all bringing up all these names? This ain't got nothing to do with the type of music Madonna's doing. Patty Austin, Stacey Lattisaw, Barbara Streisand, Evelyn Champagne King, Cheryl Pepsi Riley, Shantae Moore, Lisa Stansfield, Belinda Carlisle, Lisa Fisher, and Pat Benatar. I know they was on Google looking up all them damn names to make a damn point. And Pat Benatar, another ex-user, added a list of singers to support Azalea's point. But it wasn't all doom and gloom, as some actually sided with Katie and others got what she was saying. They said Beyonce, yes. Little Kim, yes, she's referred to herself as the Black Madonna. Janet took major inspo from Madonna's Erotica album for her 1993 Janet album. And also, most of these other artists you mentioned debuted before or at the same time as Madonna. So your point is mute anyways, an internet user mentioned. Another person said yes, but none of them are the queen of pop. Madonna is and will forever will be the queen of pop. Well, look. We could bring up Roxanne, Shante, Mia X, Phyllis Hyman, Patti LaBelle, Diana Ross, Patrice Rushen, Angela Winbush, Cheryl Ladd, Angela Bofield, Shantae Moore, Lisa Stansfield, Belinda Carlisle, Lisa Fisher. We could bring up all them names, but yes, they did not have as much of an impact on pop culture as Madonna has. So yeah, y'all could throw out a bunch of damn names, but it doesn't validate the point. Another person said, you leaving Gaga out intentionally, heel girl, and Twitter user referred to Azealia Banks accusing Gaga for snatching her work for the Art Pop album in 2013. Another person they posted, a quote that Madonna says in 2013 said, it was important for me to follow in the footsteps of Madonna. So she is somebody who has been inspired. Another person told, told Azealia, oh, shut up. Another person said yes, but none of them are the. Oh yeah, we read that one. And then where's the other one? Said even MJ's sister was inspired by erotica when she released her self-titled. Well, yeah, Janet was full of sex, so clearly you were inspired by Madonna, because that was around the same time when the albums came out. What was that, like 93? But yeah, so there was so I just want to get through this. So half of them would disagree, thanks for your input. So now I wanted to post this one because a friend of mine, Derek Cardos, who does work in the industry, summed up the comment, and I was like, you know what? Perfection with what he said, because he said he was around at the time. And I was like, this is the perfect assessment where I feel like it's gonna shut all y'all up. So he said Madonna's revolution was so complete that it has now become our default world. But I was alive before Madonna, and the top 40 was straight white male rock bands. Female disco singers were at the bottom of the entertainment industry totem pole. They were considered a joke, like Cher, or fringe, like Grace Jones. Madonna changed all of that. Who dominates the charts now? solo female dance music singers. Before Madonna, the music industry didn't even think a solo female artist would be capable of a world stadium tour, let alone selling one out. Madonna changed all of that with her Virgin tour, and the one after that, and the one after that. Madonna changed everything. So, Madonna may not have been all of the inspiration, especially those who came before her, but look, at the end of the day, in my opinion, you cannot deny Madonna's influence and trailblazing for every artist after her, and maybe some of the mentioned artists who were making music in the 80s. So, when people try to discredit how she changed the way the music industry looks at solo female pop acts and the way artists tour in regards to their shows telling a story, I'm going to agree with Katie on that. That everybody in pop needs to thank her. And maybe, yeah, she didn't articulate her words the way she needed to, but I got what she was saying. And, Katie loves to talk, but she's not a good articulator. Because it always seems like whenever she opened her mouth, diarrhea come out. So, yes, for Azealia Banks, slow behind, who need to be worrying about how she could, go on for her next apartment instead of worrying about what all these other celebrities doing. Because shout out to Funky Dineva, he told this team that, when she was evicted from that apartment out in Florida, that she didn't even have money to pay the users to move her stuff. It was sitting out there on the front of the building. She ain't had access to her apartment, and the movers, she didn't even have money to pay them. And it's because Dineva used the same moving company that she used. So that's how he got that tea. But yeah, it's like she changed the game in regards of how people look at solo female artists in regards of putting money behind them to do arena tours. Madonna started that. It wasn't nobody before her that was doing that. And yes, Grace Jones is a fringe act. Grace Jones don't have no hits either, but every time that lady get out on stage, she tears it up. There's a mutual, an overall neutral respect for Grace Jones whenever she comes out, because she is an icon. She's a part of a fringe. She's a niche, fringy, artist, where there's like a small group of people. It's like a Bjork. They have their demographic of people who will go and see them. And yes, female disco singers were at the bottom of the entertainment industry totem pole. People were not taking them seriously. Remember and then after that, don't even get me started on the whole disco sucks movement. What happened after that whole situation, and Madonna came years later and changed the game in regards of pop culture and pop music, and the way, she had to battle, being a self-made pop star, and how she became the icon she is today, because she had to bulldoze and steamroll. So when you call her, a B and Madudu and all them other names, she had to do what she had to do to get to where she is today. So, Azealia, the next time you want to run your wide yuck mouth all over social media and start spewing things, at least do your research before you decide to all of a sudden, let me just pull names out my ass so that way I can get some attention on the Twitter. Because clearly you needed to use Madonna's name to get attention for your non-existent music career. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Do you agree with Azealia on the situation? But I told you, somebody who said they've been around for a long time, they understand what the state of the industry was when Madonna came along. So we're not saying every female need to bow down to her, but everybody, when she came out and then afterwards, and how people take in the whole arena tour experience and how people consumed music and how we live for our pop girlies, the way we obsess over them now, because they wasn't doing that back in the day. And how she changed the game in regards to that. She does need her flowers. And I feel like it's not going to get to a point where Madonna has to leave the earth for y'all to truly give her the respect that she deserves. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. They said, okay, you spilled with the incest interpretation. It's complicated. That's what I said. It is a complicated situation. I always try to get into the mindset of things. That's probably the actor side of me, but it's like you try to get into the mindset of like what could have been those situations and the nuances and the complexities of it. It's not just black and white. Oh yeah, they were just licking each other's taints. It's like, it's not that simple. There's a whole thing of like, okay, so what transpired y'all to even get into with this type of, if it did happen, an incestuous situation with each other? Is it because you both were abused by your father, and that is a way that it's like a defense or finding solace with each other, and you're consoling each other as brothers, so the showing your love and affection, y'all are hunting each other? Like I sing this, I don't remember the names But I've been seeing these videos on Twitter of these twin brothers who be having sex with each other, and they make a whole lot of money doing it. So there's a market for it. What's up, nonsense? Are you talking about regarding the incest, finding solace and comfort in each other? Clearly, you are not a victim of sexual abuse. Apologize, child. Get off my line with this foolishness. It's like if you're not understanding where I'm coming from, then go somewhere else with your buffoonery. So, we got 2 more comments because I'm not apologizing for anything. If I said something that was, you know, an issue, then I'll apologize. If that's not your experience, then you can't speak on it. But I'm not apologizing on behalf of anybody. Anyway, I'm going to go and do my last 2 topics, and then we're done with today's show. So let's get into Chappell Roan because she is out here yet again getting into some drama. So Miss Roan, apparently the latest is she canceled music festival appearances after she got a backlash over not endorsing Kamala Harris. So she came out, for those of you who did not get an insight into what she said, I did want to bring up the quote again, where she said that she did not feel pressure to endorse a candidate, which some people feel is a relatively dangerous situation because she has a huge platform with a lot of young people. Same thing they were saying about Janet. Like, you run up in here and you saying all this stuff, but you don't realize that you have huge influence over a lot of people, particularly when it comes to Janet. A lot of Black women listen to Janet's music. A lot of her fan base are Black women. Yes, we have some of the gays, but for the most part, you do have a lot of Black women who support Janet Jackson. The same thing with Chappell Roan. Chappell Roan has a huge queer fan base, and a lot of people was feeling like some of the stuff that she was saying was dangerous. And for you to say that, oh, well, it's all because of the whole Palestine situation and both sides are bad, and just paint it as that brush, people took issue with what she was saying, especially when it's clear that the Democratic side is more for LGBTQIA plus rights versus Republicans who have Project 2025, who will put things in place where in certain states, young people cannot get hormone blockers or can, get any kind of therapy or help in whatever regarding, them identifying as trans. So because the cities, the states, whatever you want to have it, are dealing with that situation, they don't get the help that they need. And for her to say all this other stuff, they feel like you're hurting your own base and you're hiding behind your white privilege. So they said, though, Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish have recently been outspoken about their support for Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris, Chappell Roan is holding off on making an endorsement ahead of the 2024 presidential election. The pop star, who rocketed to fame over the past few months, recently told The Guardian that she doesn't feel pressured to endorse someone, saying, I have so many issues with our government in every way. There are so many things that I would want to change, so I don't feel pressure to endorse someone. There's problems on both sides. I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills, use your vote small, vote for what's going on in your city. Well, yeah, it does. Look, local elections don't always help in a lot of situations. Yeah, it's a small part of the situation, but local elections is not always going to be the answer to solve the bigger issue. Also, when you say you don't feel pressure to endorse someone, that's good and granted. You don't feel pressure. But in you saying there's problems on both sides, that's a blanket statement. I need you to be specific in regards of what you're talking about, in regards of there's problems on both sides. That's a given. Like in anything in life, there's always problems with everyone. There's always problems on both sides. Democrats got their issues. Republicans got their issues. Now, if you want to be specific in regards of how both sides are handling this Israel-Palestine conflict, then we could talk about that. Then you need to be specific with that. But when you sit up in here and you say blanketly, there's problems on both sides, I don't know if I can endorse someone because Democrats and Republicans are one and the same. You need to be specific in what you're saying because as far as people know, they're like, girl, you're an openly gay woman who does drag, which last time I checked, the Republicans are cracking down not only on the gays, but drag queens as well. So that's 2. But you think, well, because you're a pop star, you're not going to be affected? And because you're a white woman, you're not going to be affected? Like, they're trying to come after your reproductive rights as well. So when you look at all these other things, Now we can debate whether or not, if the Democrats just be doing the bare minimum just to shut y'all the hell up. Like we can go into all of that a whole other time and nitpick and be specific with a lot of things that some people I know like to do. But for the most part, when we talk about these situations, you need to look at the bigger picture and not just be some one vote situation. Oh, because you're against Palestine, then I'm not voting for you. Which is the overall attitude. Okay, well then let's watch America burn at the hands of Trump, or whatever the case is. I do wish that in a perfect world we had a multitude of parties and not just a two-party system. So yeah, so after all of that, because I wanted to point out the specifics, because I know like some people would just be like, well, what exactly did she say? Because everybody's going in on her and giving their opinions, but they're not pointing out exactly what she said. And she said that her most important issue is trans rights, saying they cannot have cis people making decisions for trans people, period. Which says, unless you plan on having a trans woman that's going to run for president of the United States, which I don't think is going to happen, not in my lifetime, we could barely get y'all to vote for a woman. Now, I'd be shocked if she does win in November. I'm hoping, because I do not want Trump running this damn country again. Hell no. That idiot don't even know what the hell, didn't even know what the hell he was doing the first 4 years. You think it's going to be better the second term? And I've had people come to me and say, oh, well, yeah, we need to just go against the Democrats so that way they learn a lesson and realize that they can't take our vote for granted to us. So, oh, now y'all want to do this now. When there's how many years we've been going through this shenanigans, and now all of a sudden when Trump is between Trump Project 2025 and this mess, now y'all want to get a battery in your damn back and make changes or whatever the case is. So I wish we had a multitude of, something outside of a two-party system, but we don't. We dealt with the hand we have, and it is what it is. So you either shit or get off the pot, as I like to say. So she apologized because, I guess they dragged her all over social media and decided to cancel. She had 2 shows, one in New York City, one in DC this weekend at the All Things Go Festival or something or another. But she said she couldn't perform. So she said she said, I apologize to people who have been waiting to see me in DC and NYC this weekend at All Things Go, but I'm unable to perform. Things have gotten overwhelming over the past few weeks, and I'm really feeling it. I feel pressure to prioritize a lot of things right now, and I need a few days to prioritize my health. I want to be present when I perform and give the best shows possible. Thank you for understanding. Now, of course, people got on social media and dragged her for canceling yet another damn shows within weeks. Remember, the month ain't even over yet, and she canceled a bunch of shows so she could perform at the VMAs. Where they're saying, you don't like fame, you don't like all this other stuff, but you're willing to screw over your fans so that way you could stand in front of a bunch of your peers at the VMAs and give us a performance of you dressed as Joan of Arc. So that's what you want to do. But then you want empathy for the fact that people are dragging you or people are not respecting your boundaries or whatever. And that's fine. I do believe that artists definitely need their boundaries respected. But you keep flip-flopping in a lot of what you say, and it's hard for me to feel any kind of empathy and sympathy for you when you keep going through these back and forth things. I don't know if this is a product of your bipolar disorder and you ain't taking your meds. But this is what this is given. It's given like, okay, she's having we're seeing her highs of highs and her lowest of lows in real time. So if you want to cancel, that's fine. But I feel like at this point, Chappell Roan, we're gonna have to call her go from Chappell Moan to Chappell Ruin. Because if this is a chick that is the poster child of ruining her own damn career, then she is definitely that girl. But I do find it interesting that, she also said that she didn't want to perform at the White House because, what did she say? She basically said that she didn't want to perform at the White House because I guess that she felt that if you go against the White House, that they're going to do something to her or something or another. And I'm like, what party? Because I've never heard any of the Democrats, if you want to go and read a poem, about Palestine, that they were going to do something dangerous to her. Because what is it? Oh, there, I found it. So it said, Roan previously said she declined an invitation to perform at the White House Pride event, saying during the Governor's Ball Festival in New York, we want liberty, justice, and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come. Well, here's the thing. I feel like she's trying to, because she also said this. She said, no matter how you say it, people are going to be pissed for effing some reason. I'm not going to go to the White House because I'm not going to be a monkey for pride. Well, sis, this would have been the perfect, see, this is how I know you trying to be an activist, but you don't know what the hell you doing. Let me give you some advice. See, the smart thing is you can't do nothing by being on the outside. You have to once you get yourself in the room is when you make the change. That's how I know you young and you don't know what the hell you doing. You could have went to the ball, you could have performed, you could have went to the White House for the Pride event, and then that would have been your opportunity to have a conversation with Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. Let them know your grievances. Let them know what you stand on in regards to trans rights or any LGBTQIA plus rights and your feelings on Palestine. You could have let them know all of this when you get in the room. Now, if they go against what you're saying and try to shut you down and kick you out because that's not where they stand on stuff, that they feel like, okay, so what's going on with Israel is way more important than what's going on in Palestine. Then you get on your little platform in front of your live audience or your social media and then spill the tea and tell them this is why I'm not voting. You need to have the backup to be able to combat what you're saying. It just sounds like you just releasing a bunch of hot air, and this is why people are dragging you. If you would have actually went during Pride, you would have had a little extra something to bring up in the conversation. You can't go and say, oh, I didn't want to go because I'm not going to be no monkey for them people over there. They don't really care about the gays, because that's basically what you're saying. You say the Democrats don't really care about the gays, that they basically just using us because of Pride. They ain't the only ones. Corporations use us down to the ground too. All of a sudden, every damn corporation under the sun, June 1st, they love the homosexuals. But then at the end of the month, July 1st come around, where all them damn pride flags at? In the garbage. So they all do it. But you have to be in the words of Gandhi, you got to be the change you want to see in the world. You can't just sit and blow a bunch of hot damn air and think that that's going to affect change. Especially when you are on this huge meteoric rise and you're getting all this attention and you have so much influence over young people. The very audience that, I don't know about the Republicans. I don't know who they're trying to go after at this point. They already got who they want in lockstep. The crazy, racist, whatever. That's who they already got. They haven't really tried to cross over the aisle and reach out to other people and try to grow their audience. They just turn everybody off. They went against women. They went against black folks. They went against gays. They went against everybody. So they only basically just talking to a bunch of bigoted people. That's basically their audience. But you have a platform where it's like young people already feeling a ways about whether or not who they want to vote for. So we're on sketchy waters. And a lot of you celebrities have to realize that y'all have a platform that you need to be aware of the things you say and what you put out there. So you can talk about your mental health, which, yes, sis, work on that. But and then there was a post I saw on Threads where they was talking about this, and Garbage, shout out to them, the band with Shirley Manson as the lead singer, said this. She said, after what we did to Sinead, Britney, and Justin Bieber, I really hope the world leaves Chappell in peace so she can recover her equilibrium. And I feel like, you know what, sis, if you need to take some time, take all the time you need. Because I understand that, this industry can be overwhelming. So yes, I have empathy with you on that. That, yeah, this industry can be overwhelming, that you need to prioritize your health. I feel like that, when I was growing up, the way that people could just say things and you stick your foot in your mouth or whatever the case is, you had time to recover. Things are constantly happening in real time. So I can understand it's like, no matter what you do, people are always going to comment and say whatever. And I do believe that's going to be overwhelming. So I would not want to trade any of this stuff in the world for this newer generation. And what y'all going through, I'm glad I came from the time I came up long before the internet. So I didn't have to grow up in with the internet and all this other stuff and people bullying. And if I got into fights in school, that, once the fight was over, whether I won or I lost, it stayed where? Over there. It didn't happen. The bullying and everything didn't constantly happen on social media with people tweeting at you or posting negative stuff on your Instagram page or whatever the case is, and it gets to a point where you feel like you want to take your own life. So I don't envy with all this other stuff. I'm glad I grew up in the time I grew up in. But Chappell, you need to be a little more mindful and demure in whatever the stuff that you say in regards of like what you're putting out there. You really have to think before you speak, because people could just misinterpret what you say and turn it into a whole nother situation. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so now let's move on. Who said Chris Christopherson? Was that the thing we was talking about before? In regards of was it? Oh, child, I forgot what the hell we was talking about earlier. Well, you said Beyonce has, she did? Oh, they said, but she lost 5 million IG followers. Is there a backlash going on? Going in as she's not really pushing the album or basically not focusing on her. I don't know what's going on. The Levi's brand, I thought would actually help. There's been other brands that she's been jumping on, the whiskey line, all that stuff. It doesn't feel authentic to her because I don't look at Beyonce as a whiskey drinker. Now, don't get me wrong. I know whiskey is like a drink of choice, especially if you're in the country music space. It does feel like she's jumping on the bandwagon. I can imagine Beyonce drinking whiskey. She gives me like I drink champagne. Now, me, I drink whiskey. It was funny. I was having a conversation with a coworker of mine the other day. He was working in a Rangers pregame. And we was talking about whiskey or something. And I was like, no, whiskey is definitely like my drink of choice. That, any other liquor I'm not really fond of, but I love me some brown juice. But Beyonce, no. And I don't know what's going on because they just had like, what was it? The Country Music People's Choice, I think is what it's called. She didn't win any of the awards. But Post Malone, who I actually met the other day, at Chris Christopherson just passed. Damn, another one? Oh, that's what you're telling me about. Not Whistler. Oh, I'm mad now. Now the Whistler from Blade passed. Shout out to Chris Christopherson. He was also in A Star Is Born back in the day. But anyway, damn, another one. So I don't know what's going on with her and why she's not promoting the music. Like, the old way to promote music is not happening anymore. Like, she really needs to get out there and promote. And I don't know why. This is why I said I don't understand why people get mad over Cowboy Carter not doing what it needs to be done and not winning these awards. She doesn't seem like she's putting any effort into the album. So you're just thinking that, oh, I'm just going to put the album out and people just going to support it? And people just going to give me awards? Like, that's not how it works, is. Like, you got to work. You better work, bitch. In the words of Britney. So yeah, I didn't know it was 5 million. That's a lot. But yeah, I would think the Levi's brand would have helped, but all the other stuff, I'm not buying it. So I wish people knew you could have political aspirations and goals, but when you go to Washington, you understand like AOC is different. You're dealing with people who's in their 50s. Absolutely. You have to realize that you're young, you're in your 20s, and you're talking to a bunch of old people who have been around and in that bubble, political bubble, for a long time. And yeah, we all have ideas, and in a perfect world, this is what we want to do. But I realize this is where I think like the Chappell Roans and a lot of the younger people, I feel like I sound like I'm so old when I'm saying this. But when you're in your 20s, whatever, you think there's lollipops and rainbows, you want to tiptoe through the tulips like you're Tiny Tim, and you think like the world is so black and white, it's either this or it's this. And it's like, no, when you get older, when you get into your 40s and up, you start to realize the world is gray. Everything ain't black and white. Everything is just not, it's either this or this. It's so many nuances and shades of things going on. So everybody can get on a little soapbox with their bullhorn and start shouting all this mess. But once you get in that room and you realize how the world is, then you realize it. And, I'm sorry, Chappell, but closed mouths don't get fed. You sit up in there and just with your little bullhorn on social media and saying all your hot ass stuff, but you're not really going to DC and getting in that room and actually speaking with these people who are making the decisions for us. because we're electing these people, most of them, not all of them. Because I didn't vote in Marjorie Taylor Greene, but that heifer got a job. And Lauren Boebert and all them idiots. And Matt Gaetz with his big ass head. I didn't vote for all them people in. There's people in their states that did. But now that they're in there, you got to be able to cross over that line and cross the aisle and talk to these people and get things done. There's a lot of celebrities who go to, there was I just did the Jelly Roll show the other day, which was great because that's how I met Post Malone. And Busta Rhymes was there too, came out before him. But anyway, Jelly Roll was basically talking about something like with the whole opioid crisis and stuff that's been going on in America. And there's a part in the show where he talks about how, with the whole opioid crisis, that's what compelled him to go down because, when he was in jail, and I don't know if he had addictions or whatever, but he does talk about, because I'm not really familiar with Jelly Roll's music. I know of his songs, but I'm not really familiar with his stuff. But I do know that he is an advocate for people getting sober and taking care of themselves and not getting caught up in drugs and the whole opioid crisis and all those things, which we all know is affecting a lot of white folks. This is why they be going hard on this mess. Once it crossed over to them, then they decided to take an initiative. But he said that when all that was going on, that's what compelled him to go down to the White House and speak with government officials about that. That's what Chappell needs to understand, and that's what she needs to do. So if she wants to make any kind of changes, that is the decision. And you want to put yourself on this platform, this is what you got to do. And what irritates me with people is that they run around and they say, oh, well, they're not political animals, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sitting there like, but you took the initiative to be a political animal. The minute you step yourself on that big old soapbox with your little bullhorn and you start spewing things about politics, you become a political animal, Janet. So when you got people out here like Whoopi Goldberg and her old, celebrity elite behind want to sit out here and windmill hard for her little celebrity friends and giving that kind of information when it's incorrect, the minute you put yourself in that position, you are a political animal. I don't care what anybody says. Now, if you don't want to take that initiative, you don't want to take that route, that is your business. You don't have to. I don't feel that everybody has to come out and be political. But if Taylor Swift wants to come out and say something, if Billie Eilish wants to come out and say something, if anybody else wants to come out and say something, you become that political animal. And especially if you incorporating songs about social injustice in your music. It says, so what Gen Z person wants will not happen until they're of that age group. Millennials are getting shit now because we're in our 40s. Absolutely. And you have to realize, you know how long it takes for a lot of us to get the rights? You know how long it took for us gay people to be able to get the rights that we have today? It didn't happen overnight. It took decades. Since the Stonewall riots, when all that catapulted and started. So that's like what? 50-something odd years when that happened? When we started to see like the rollover within gay rights now, that's like half a century. So if she thinks that things is going to happen overnight, says, I don't know what planet you living on, but if you decide to create one and you want that to happen, when you become the ambassador and you can make all things happen for the gays, then I'll go to your planet with you. We'll get on the ship together and we'll take the rocket ship right up there on then. But until then, sis, I think you need to do a little more research when it comes to the politics. But anyway, let's move on to our final topic. And let's talk about The Bachelor. And Colton Underwears, who is addressing, he's got an idea. He was from The Bachelor, where he was dating a girl, and then years later he came out as a homosexual. So he got an idea. He went on a podcast and he revealed the idea that he has for a gay bachelor show. And I was like, you know what? I'm here for it. Now, we already have a gay show on TV with DILFs and daddies and, well, himbos and DILFs. That's what it is. Himbos and daddies. Where it's for the love of DILFs. If you have Out TV, you can watch the show. It is a cute show. They got their season 3, I believe, coming out in November. It was just announced, I think, 2 days ago. So it says that while we don't have a gay season of The Bachelor, a handful of former contestants have come out as members of the community like Underwood. The former football player first appeared on The Bachelorette season 14 before leading the 23rd season of The Bachelor. Now, during a recent appearance of the Boyfriend Material podcast, Underwood shared his thought on a potential gay Bachelor season after host Harry Jowsey brought up the Australian franchise's recent three-lead structure. Here's the thing. Isn't Colton married to a man? Unless y'all got an open relationship, I don't know why he's doing The Bachelor. But I guess this is his idea. So he says, see, that's what I want to do. Everybody keeps saying, will The Bachelor ever do a gay Bachelor? And my response is always, I think it's lazy to always put that on the Bachelor franchise. But I do think there's a version in which if we had 3 Bachelors at the same time, you can represent our community as a whole. It's hard to represent the gay community with one singular person. Everybody's so picky, they have types. Also, our community is so diverse, and I think it makes for a dramatic and messy season. While Underwood teased the idea of the show's structure, i.e. splitting the contestants and leads into pods, he refrained from sharing further details of his pitch. Well, here's the thing. You done already spilled a lot of the tea, but here's the thing. Now, if this show comes to fruition, can I host it? I would love to host this show. First of all, I think this is a great idea. I really think that because a one guy type of situation is not going to work. And plus, if there ever comes down to a situation where the boys be hunching each other on the show, we need to keep that in there too, because we need the mess. First of all, we want to be entertained, but if the gays want to come out with their self-sabotage, y'all said that's back 50 years because y'all making it seem like gays are promiscuous. First of all, men are promiscuous. We're not just going to go into the whole gay being promiscuous. Men like to hunch. Men are sexual beings. Men like to get off. I'm not saying all men like to cheat, but it happens. And we need to show actual human behavior rather than us trying to nitpick and trying to act like that we have to be this certain thing because we don't want straight people to come and try to drag us over the way that we do what we do. So I actually like this idea that you would do kind of like The Voice, but with The Voice means The Bachelor. So you have them like pods. You get 3 different bachelors. They're like, this is my type. You find guys based on that type, and they all come in and they meet these guys that kind of have like a little, one of those quickie date type things where you kind of get to know each other, and it's like a revolving door, and then you make a decision at the end of the day, the top, however you want to keep the official men in the house. I was thinking they get to pick 4 men, but I was like, no, maybe we could do 20 guys or something or another. I don't know. That might be hard. Because how do you divide that between 3? I mean, you could do 6 guys each. So 6 guys for each of the men. So just have 18 dudes in the house. If it was 3 more. Damn, I'm trying to do the math. Maybe 21. What happened? I hate an odd number. I thought we could do 7 dudes, or maybe 6 dudes would probably be good. 6, 12, 18. So just keep it 6 guys on each side for all 3. Or maybe they'll probably have to do less than that. I don't want to do 4 because that's kind of like not a lot. You want the show to last as long as possible, I guess. So we'll just stick with 6, like 18 dudes in the house. They be having a bunch of girls up in them houses and the guys when they do the Bachelor, Bachelorette, I guess. But I don't like The Bachelor and all of other shows. That's never been my judge. But I do think it's about time that we get like a gay dating show. Why is it so hard to get content for the queers on TV? There is an audience for it. And that sort of thing. And he said he doesn't want to give up any more of his idea because he said they're just going to steal it and put it on air and not credit me. I already know how this goes. I've been burned by it before. They have my cell phone number and my agent's number. But look, with him putting it out there, at least we know that if they decide to go forth with his idea, that it has been stolen. And he said he has had talks with some producers, but I think beyond just The Bachelor, there are so many other incredible dating shows that might even be more well-equipped format-wise. This is what he told Entertainment Weekly. He said, I think when you think about the format of The Bachelor, it's tricky and hard. Our community is so diverse and we play by different rules. And I mean that with all the love and respect. And I think there's other shows like Love is Blind and The Ultimatum that you saw did a queer version. Now, despite the Bachelor's lack of queer leads, there has been a steady increase in LGBTQIA plus inclusion within the dating show genre. Because, in the UK, they have I Kissed the Boy and I Kissed the Girl, which has universal acclaim amongst critics and viewers. So why is it that the Brits are way ahead of us versus America? I feel like we don't even need network TV. Y'all can put this on a streaming service. Y'all can put it on. Well, I wouldn't go with Netflix. Netflix has to drop everything all at once, and that'll kill the momentum on the show. I feel like it needs to be something where it's 3 episodes at once and then a week to week. I think they did that with the that Asian gay dating show that they had on Netflix. The problem with that was that show was boring because Asian men, y'all are, as fine as y'all are too damn polite. We need drama. We need people to be honest. It's like, you're not my type. And then just be okay with that. When y'all start to kind of like hold back a little bit and y'all want to be a little too polite because that's the way y'all were raised, even though we want you to give you a real opinion on stuff. It's unfortunate when they don't go that way. So we need a little bit of that. You got to be honest, whatever the case is. I do think this is a great idea that Colton has. I would definitely love to see this show. I do think that we need LGBTQIA plus representation in regards to dating. And I think that gay people need to stop being so self-sabotaging and stop worrying so much about what straight people are going to think, seeing our messiness and our warts and all play out on television. That if there is some drama going on between the gays or whatever, it needs to happen. Now, I understand y'all feeling the way y'all felt about that mess, like the real friends of WeHo and all that crap. I totally get that. But the dating world, especially in the LGBT, well, let's talk about the gays. I don't know about the lesbians. I know y'all, the joke is, what does a lesbian bring on a second date? A U-Haul. But when it comes to the gays, we are complex, we are nuanced. There's like the poly and all this other stuff, but we don't need to play into that. It's about trying to find love or whatever the case is. And I feel like those are the things that need to be brought up in the conversation. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Would you be here to see a gay version of The Bachelor and a version based off of Colton's pitch? I do like the idea of having a multitude of bachelors and not just one. Call it something else. I don't think we need The Bachelor. Then that name will be The Hook. But how much can you get away with on ABC? I truly believe create your own show, give it a new name, have a multitude, like make it like The Voice, but with 3 bachelors trying to find love, and whatever ensues from that, that's where we go. But also, look out for me. I want to host it. So, Colton, if you listening, I'm willing to be the host of the show and put my hat in the ring. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. All right, so at this point, we are at the end of our show, ladies and gentlemen. So, excuse me. Unless there's anything. Ooh, I see T.S. Madison is live, chair. Shout out to her. So I want to say to all of you guys, thank you for tuning in. I'll probably be on tomorrow to give you guys a new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. If you have not already, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. Also smash that notification button so that way when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I want to thank everybody who's been in the room, who was part of the conversation, who's been dropping their their comments and all this other stuff. And yeah, love you all for watching. And until next time.